affect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Good evening, St. Lucia. I am Colonel Eugene. I'm here with my colleague Michael Gasper. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Kendall Scotty.
Bonsoir. Of course, we are here broadcasting live from the National Emergency Management Organization headquarters, NEMO, on this hurricane watch. We're tracking Hurricane Beryl, and we are told by forecasters that it is a very powerful, destructive hurricane that is approaching our island.
Oui, c'est ça nous apprendre, c'est maintenant qui a fait étude à sous conditions temps l'autre pays, particulièrement l'Amérique, yo déjà fait qui situation cyclone Beryl, c'est yon qui très et qui a servi langage ça là dangereux en pile et puis qui prend la vie, life threatening. Yo ka averti moun pour prendre chaque précaution avec ces raisons qui fait nous ici à venir ensemble pour présenter information pour faire assurer nous pas s'empêcher cyclone nous pas faire ça c'est travail bon Dieu mais ça nous a fait c'est pour empêcher un dommage qui a fait avec préparation nous ca empêcher ces dommages là.
Definitely, and so folks, for the next few hours, we are going to be here helping disseminate the information, most importantly, helping you, as long as we can stay on air, give you the latest updates. We'll be providing those latest updates and, of course, up to the minute, up to the time updates from our various agencies. We also heard earlier today from the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Honorable Philip J. Pierre. He issued a statement on Beryl. The Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, Ms. Kenisha Jeffrey Isenbert, the member of the National Emergency Operations Center, and the Ministry of Health, they also made statements on the level of readiness of the agencies, all important agencies, to us during this time. And we have a few of the issued statements, and we're going to be playing them right now, so we could take a listen to the various statements from the Prime Minister and Director of NEMO, as well as ministries, the Minister of, the representative from the Ministry of Health. Gaspar, you could translate that into the Creole for me, please?
Oui, nous avons préparé à présent pour, comme on dit, nous avons un champ d'information, mais nous avons commencé, et puis Premier ministre Saint-Lucie, qui a déclaré que depuis à 8h30, nation fait même, par une pièce business en nation, tout le monde s'y posait la caillou, mais Premier ministre a fait en l'adresse, il a fait de l'adresse, il a fait hier, avec il fait aujourd'hui encore. À présent, nous avons écouté le Premier ministre avec l'autre monde encore, nous avons dit tout à l'heure exactement qui ça y est. Alors, nous avons commencé, et puis le Premier ministre Saint-Lucie, on est avec Philippe J. Pierre.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. When we spoke yesterday, Saturday, I promised that I would update you on the weather system threatening our island. As of 2 p.m. today, Hurricane Beryl had intensified into an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. The center of the system was located 367 miles east of St. Lucia, with winds gusting at 135 miles per hour. These conditions set the stage for potential hurricane storm force winds. A hurricane warning has been issued by the St. Lucia Met Office, with Hurricane Beryl expected to arrive on Sunday night and peak on Monday morning, lasting throughout the day. Hurricane Beryl is being described by forecasters as extremely dangerous and could cause potentially catastrophic damage from high winds with a life-threatening storm surges as high as 16 feet above normal tide levels. Residents in low-lying areas and along the coast should take extra precautions. Fishermen should secure their vessels, and livestock owners should make the necessary arrangements to safeguard their animals. Earlier today, I chaired a pre-strike committee meeting with NEMAC to continue our preparations and assessments of St. Lucia's preparedness. I've received assurances from major response agencies regarding their preparedness for this eventuality. Our foremost priority as a government is the safety and well-being of every citizen. I urge all 18 district disaster management committees across the island to follow all protocols established by NEMO. Your participation is crucial in ensuring that our communities remain safe. I can confirm that all these district committees have held their pre-strike meetings and have been on the ground in their respective communities. The major response agencies reported at the pre-strike meeting today that our hospitals and health facilities have activated their disaster management plans in order to continue treating in-house patients and any injuries that may occur during the passage of this hurricane. Most shelters are ready to respond to any evacuation needs and will be activated after instructions from NEMO. If you believe that your home can be easily compromised due to heavy rainfall and strong winds expected from the storm, we encourage you to seek shelter with family and loved ones as soon as possible. At this time, our sense of community is being called upon, particularly to assist the most vulnerable. I urge you to lend a helping hand where possible if it becomes necessary. Temporary housing has been activated for the homeless at the VG Sports Complex, and their transfer to the facility is currently ongoing by the Castries Constituency Council and the Ministry of Equity. All other state agencies, including the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, the St. Lucia Fire Services, SLASPA, the Ministry of Infrastructure, and all other first responders are on high alert and stand ready to act if and when the need arises. Discussions with the St. Lucia Hospitality and Tourism Authority have indicated the readiness of its membership to deal with visitors currently on island. Our national infrastructure, water, electricity, and telecommunications are at risk of being compromised, but providers have indicated that they are ready to respond in the aftermath. It is not too late to review your family disaster plans. Your household appliances at risk of being damaged. Please secure them. Medication and all vital records should have been stored and your emergency plan communicated to members of your family and loved ones. Water, food supplies, and sanitary items should all be properly secured. I continue to stress of the importance of being prepared during this time and urge you to follow the guidance provided by NEMO and the Met Office. Remember, a national shutdown is scheduled for 8:30 tonight. Businesses and schools will remain closed tomorrow Monday until the all clear is given. I urge residents to remain indoors to allow first responders to conduct preliminary assessments before the all clear is given. fellow residents, the possibility of this extreme weather event will test our resolve as a people and the true spirit of our nation. It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable. As we prepare to weather the approaching storm, there are many things that we have no control over. But what we can control is reaffirming our concern for one another, our courage, our compassion, and our disaster preparedness. Together, we'll navigate these challenging times. Let us pray to the Almighty that St. Lucia will be spared the worst. I thank you.
As a follow-up to a meeting of the National Emergency Management Advisory Committee, NEMAC, NEMO convened a pre-strike meeting on Sunday, June 30th, 2024. The meeting, which took place at the NEMO Secretariat Bize Castries, was chaired by the Prime Minister, Honorable Philip J. Pierre. Also present was the Honorable Minister for Education, Mr. Sean Edward. The meeting was provided with reports on the state of preparedness of various agencies, including the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, St. Lucia Fire Service, Ministry of Health, Lucilec, WASCO, FLO, Digicel, St. Lucia Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and St. Lucia Hospitality and Tourism Association. Reports were also provided by the district disaster management committees around the island. Based on information received from the St. Lucia Met Services on the potential destructiveness of Hurricane Beryl, NEMO has activated its system to level 3. This means that all NEMO systems have been activated. The district disaster management committees are in a state of readiness for any eventuality. Specific attention has been paid to vulnerable persons in the various communities. NEMO has also activated its National Emergency Operations Center, NEOC, which is expected to coordinate activities leading up to, during, and immediately after the hurricane. Representation on the NEOC include the Police Department, the Fire Service, Ministry of Health, among other government officials. NEMO urges everyone to observe the national shutdown commencing from 8:30 p.m. Sunday, June 30th, 2024, and to remain safely indoors until the all clear is given. Stay alert to local weather updates issued by the St. Lucia Met Services, as well as important instructions and information issued by NEMO. Also, tune into GIS or NTN for live updates. Finally, residents are advised to stay away from the beaches and coastlines, and small craft operators are advised to remain in port and secure all vessels and equipment.
Good evening, St. Lucia. I am Lieutenant Colonel Lucia Slake, Director of the National Emergency Management Operations Center. We are here tonight to talk about shelters.
Good evening, St. Lucia. I am Colonel Nathan Hyacinth, the chairperson of the National Supplies Committee.
There's a lot of talk, St. Lucia, as it pertains to shelters. As it stands right now, we have 161 shelters on island. Persons seeking admission to shelters should have a conversation with the District Disaster Committee members as to their placement in shelters. Persons are not expected to show up at any of these 161 shelters seeking admission. So, the length and breadth of St. Lucia, persons who need that, ensure you contact your district disaster management committee members, who will then contact NEMO to start the machinery to have shelters open to accommodate you. Shelters need a lot more than what meets the eye. You need security, you need bedding, persons need to be fed. So there are a number of issues that need to be addressed before persons are placed in shelters without the requisite bits of information needed for a safe transition from wherever you are living, which has issues, into any of these shelters at present.
As you've heard from Colonel Lake, a shelter is not just the building, and we need to recognize that apart from just housing people, we have to be able to deal with the security aspect of people, the security aspect of the families that are coming to those shelters. So apart from just the manager of the shelter, who in most cases are either the school principals or the counselors for the Human Resource Center, or the priests for the churches, we need to have additional personnel. So one, when you go into the shelter, you want to have at least somewhere where you can lie down and sleep to spend out the event. You will need something to eat, and you expect at least some level of security, because when you reach at a shelter, it is not like at home where you are in the confines of your own home and you deal with your family members only. At the shelters, you will be exposed to all other members of society at that same time. So we've had issues in the past where we really need to really think strongly about the security of our personnel and our people and our children, especially at the shelters. So in that vein, we have to take it extremely seriously. The resources must be put in place when the shelter is open. So if in any district that there's a need for a shelter to be open, you must be able to start the process by contacting your district disaster committee, who then will inform NEMO of the requirement of that shelter, who will then put the mechanisms in place in order to allow the safe handling and safety of the people who are at the shelter. So therefore you can have somewhere to sleep, you can have something to eat.
Shelters are schools, community centers, faith-based organizations, and buildings of such. As a result, because they are not primarily used for that purpose, things have to be moved. Where it pertains to schools, you have to clear out the areas. That's not all. On entry into the shelters, persons are registered, so we know exactly who is staying and who we are dealing with at this point in time. And like Colonel Hyson said, we have to separate the male from the female. They are standard protocols which we are going to follow when the shelters are open in going forward. It's not a matter of showing up at a school, wherever it is, and expect all to be in place. It has to be taken into account that these institutions where you are going to be housed are used for other activities other than shelters. So we employ members of the public to speak with your members of the district disaster management committees to get a better understanding of the process of moving into a shelter. Do not show up at a shelter and demand that the security person opens up for you. There is a process to get done, and the sooner you speak with your the district disaster committee member, who will then have a conversation with NEMO, then we can have that conversation and give all the support needed so we can have a safe transition from wherever you are living, which caused you to go to a shelter, to be livable until the passage of this hurricane.
Welcome back to the Hurricane Watch as we track Hurricane Beryl. Michael, we just heard extensively from the director of NEMO, we heard from the director of the NEOC, and also from our Prime Minister. Strongest takeaways, of course, observing the national shutdown, which we are right now in, and asking that individuals would venture out during that time. Parties are not supposed to be going on. Even though the weather seems nice, we are asking that everybody obey the observation of the shutdown and attention to vulnerable during this time.
C'est ça. Moi, c'est Lucien. même comme toutes les autres, je crois que science statistique a comprendre les en ordre, et bien en commission, yo journée en commission, et bien en bas pour yo suivre, qu'a dit yo ça qui a danger qui a venu pour yo est important, mais souvent on ça monde pas qu'à côté, mais celle ça nous a dit c'est que Premier ministre dit nous sommes directeur Nimo dit nous, aussi nous sommes directeur IOCA dit nous manière situation c'est yon qui mais ça finit ce qu'a dit force importance c'est important. Toutes ces gens qui ont apporté à sous mauvais temps, et bien cyclone Beryl qui a dit nous force danger
destruction.
OK, so il est important pour nous comprendre avec respecter ça, avec écouter ça, nous avons information nous avons ici.
And what is most concerning with Beryl is it started as a tropical storm or tropical depression and quickly intensified into that hurricane, and no sooner had we heard it's a hurricane, then we're hearing Cat 1, Cat 2, and now Cat 4. Catégorie.
Mais 4 là, c'est degré, c'est différents niveaux. Cyclone qui a sorti yon pour l'autre. Comme on dit dans l'autre programme, il a commencé petit. Mais depuis un chalet, il a grandi, il a vu plus mauvais, il a joué plus force. C'est chalet qui a baillé toute force là, avec 4 là qui ce qu'a dit là, c'est différents degrés, il y a niveau il y a présent avec ça nous apprendre c'est niveau c'est mon qui fait étude là qui dit nous c'est il arrivé degré 135 liés pendant du temps. Ça c'est chaque force.
It is a lot of force. When you're hearing maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour hitting with higher gusts, and that's what we really need to pay attention to.
Exactly.
Okay. In a little while, we're going to have a discussion with the director of the NEOC, and that's Lieutenant Colonel Lake. He will be here. Of course, we heard from him earlier speaking to the hurricane shelters all around the island. We will ask him about that, and of course, the preparedness, the readiness of these communities for Hurricane Beryl as it approaches St. Lucia. So we'll be doing that.
Oui, nous avons fait ça, mais vite, c'est fou nous faire. Le Premier ministre a dit, moun qui peut-être qui quitté Caillou, si délai Caillou ou pas casser Kachile, il faut assez. Puisque témoin de code ou dinga il s'est vu mot là 4
catégorie
ça sérieux avec délai ou pas une chance ouais tout à présent mais pas ma carrière dehors mais ma savent qui manier mais si en cas on a une chance et qu'on panique pas catcher peut-être ou quand jouer une chance pour sortir peut-être on peut sauver ça on a point oui m'aide et c'est ça Premier ministre a dit c'est faire assurer point oui m'aide avec toute bagaille qui nécessaire et pas rester en dedans place là sous pas assurer il faut assez.
Yep. Merci, Michael.
Moi maintenant nous parler de même si c'est Yomo
tout seul quand il est en pas.
OK, so nous avons fait préparation pour Lieutenant Colonel qui est venu. OK, nous avons préparé pour lui.
OK.
D'accord.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
In this video, you'll learn how to prepare for a hurricane. or a large storm. And what to do if you find yourself in such a situation. Usually a hurricane is announced in advance in weather reports, so the authorities and the public are informed that a dangerous meteorological event is imminent. If the authorities issue a hurricane warning, prepare a disaster kit and a first aid kit. Put your documents, valuables, and clothes in waterproof bags. Reinforce your doors and windows with wooden panels nailed down if you do not have shutters. Bring inside any object that may be caught up by the wind and become a dangerous projectile. Bring pets indoors and safely house them in their pet carriers. Follow safety instructions on the radio or television. Act quickly if evacuation orders are issued by authorities. During the hurricane, stay inside whenever possible. Unplug all your domestic appliances and switch off the power supply at the mains. Follow safety instructions given on the radio or television. Limit any journeys. If you must go out, be sure to inform family and friends about where you're going. If you are in a car when the hurricane breaks, stop your car far away from trees or electric cables, which could fall on you. Avoid stopping at the bottom of a steep hill or on low ground susceptible to flooding. Stay in your car. In order to minimize the consequences of a hurricane, regularly prune dead branches from trees and cut down any dead trees. If you live in a house, check your roof regularly to ensure it is solid and waterproof. Repair it if necessary.
Create a plan for your home, and don't forget about those who may need assistance during an emergency.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
And welcome back to our Hurricane Watch as we track Hurricane Beryl, its movements, and of course the potential impact and effects it could have here on our island. As promised, we are being joined by Lieutenant Colonel Lake. He is the director of the National Emergency Operations Center. And earlier on, we heard him speak about the hurricane shelters. And we will ask about the shelters in just a bit, but just to start us off, Lieutenant Colonel Lake, welcome.
Thank you, welcome.
Let's speak on the NEOC. What exactly is the role and responsibility of the Operations Center, the National Emergency Operations Center?
Well, to let everybody know, good evening, St. Lucia. The National Emergency Operations Center has been activated ahead of any impact from Hurricane Beryl. It means that the agencies like fire, police, medical, all agencies who are involved in coordinating or rendering assistance to the general public are at the Emergency Operations Center now to assist in coordination and documentation of anything going on. As it stands, if any form of impact to the country comes in and we need to go out to any donor or requesting or seeking assistance, it has to come from an agency which has the ability to make that request. So instead of police doing on their own and all, it's coordinated through the National Emergency Operations Center, where one report is put in and we understand what's happening around the entire island. Therefore, we can seek assistance from our neighboring friends or other territories who have the ability to assist us.
Okay. With that now, how ready or prepared is the center or the team for what we're about to experience or expect, what is expected to affect us?
The team, as like any other team, unless you are given some challenge to work with, we have the commissioner in, we have a rep from the fire chief, we have a rep for the chief medical officer, but it's nice. We have other PSs who are there as well, but it's nice to see that the commissioner herself, Commissioner Pelus, is actually there, seated at her desk and working on other tasks with the other police officers on the ground. similar to the rep for the fire service and medical. So these entities actually engage in what's going on ground, and if anything of concern comes up, we are here to document it in moving forward. If there's a request, if there's a response, if it is beyond the ability of the single agency, NEMO has that overarching ability to call in for support or to get resources to deal with the situation at hand.
Okay. The situation at hand would often call for individuals to be housed in shelters, just in case things don't go how we would hope it would, where we are spared the brunt of the hurricane. Let's talk shelters now. And earlier we heard your notice, your address go out,
yes,
and you spoke to the shelters in St. Lucia. Just give us a refresher on our shelters and the preparedness and readiness of those shelters.
The first point of contact for persons seeking shelter, family, friends. You must understand that the shelters in St. Lucia, the 161 shelters, are not purposely built as shelters. They are schools, community centers, religious institutions, not purposely built to receive persons on a normal basis. If one, I live at Montidon, if one were to go to the Montidon school to seek shelter, the security officer who is there now is not aware of where to put those persons or who gave the authority in that. There's nobody recording who is coming in. The classrooms or the rooms that are going to be used by the shelterees have to be cleared. The items then have to be secured, because when the event is over and persons leave the facility, it goes back into normal use. And we have had instances where persons would have quickly moved into shelters, and there is a bill at the end of getting that facility back for its primary use. So, family, friends, if that doesn't work, you work along with your district disaster committee members, have a conversation with them, and they should have known your vulnerability. If you live in a particular community, they would have known what it is and have that communication with them. NEMO does not have the ability to come into Bexon right now and render assistance not knowing who are the vulnerable persons and what the requirements are. So it's a conversation with your district disaster committee members who would now know exactly where to put you. 3 or 4 persons, and we have this issue, and we learned from COVID. Separate the male from the female, the children, the security. So some of the shelters that persons are going to are not fully equipped with kitchens, equipped for that nature. We cannot, or we don't have the ability to stock every shelter, which is 161 on the island, in advance of waiting for shelterees to come in or persons with distress to come in. So it's a conversation that has to happen before. You need security, you need to register persons in, you need to take account of what's going on for all persons. So at the end of the day, you have a proper record of what happened at that particular shelter. And there have been some incidents in the past, which I'm not going to dwell into now.
Okay. With that said, are any of the shelters or have the disaster preparedness committees around the island, are you aware of any individuals who have spoken to folks who are vulnerable who would need to be housed in such shelters?
No. At this time of broadcast, there are no reports to NEMO concerning persons moving to any of the shelters. Earlier we had a meeting, and ancillary persons were saying they were doing some cleanup and preparation in advance. But to date, there are no reports reaching the NUOC of persons in distress being moved to any shelter anywhere on the island, other than what's happening in Central Castries, Youth Sports Complex, where we heard a report earlier on that persons are moving into that facility. So as it stands right now, shelters are not open other than the homeless in Castries Central who have been housed.
Are shelters available to every community around the island, or are there certain areas within the community that are without a shelter but with a place that vulnerable individuals can be housed?
We have 161, and that list wasn't compiled by NEMO, it's compiled by the Ministry of Infrastructure, who will do their checks and balances to determine that this is a shelter. And just to let everybody know, a shelter could be one for a fire, for a hurricane, for something else. Like I say, the shelter is not purposely built in that regard. So one can be housed as a result of any impended activity which may be affecting the household, adverse in that regard. So that's basically how we can class what shelters are being used for.
Okay. Now, if in my community there is no shelter, where should I go to? What can I do?
You speak with your district disaster committee and they will advise you to, or they will point you in the direction or make that representation for you at the closest area. Because you don't want to be living in Mondidor and your closest shelter is in Balata. That's a way away from what it is. So it's a lot of movement for you. So you must have a relationship with your district disaster management committee members who would then have that conversation, and if it means coming to NEMO to seek further information, advice or support in getting you into a shelter. The intent is to ensure that you are comfortable until the passage of the event and not by the wayside that nobody knows how to assist you. There must be a solution to it, but there must be a conversation even before to ensure that at the end of the day you may have a good night's rest until the passage of whatever system it is.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Just to ease our affairs a little bit, preparedness is very important, and folks would basically ask, hearing what you just said a while ago, that's okay. Well, how prepared are we for this impending weather system?
We're prepared. With the help of the St. Lucia Cadet Corps, we have a number of officers who are at the NEMO headquarters ready and willing to assist in whichever way it is. It's a mandate that we have done for a number of years now. We are prepared. As a country, prior to this impact, there were meetings and committees that met, so the planning stages had gone on. There was a conversation ongoing. So it wasn't that this has sprung on us now and we caught it for, the term with our pants down, not knowing what to do. We are quite aware of what has to be done. That is why we are in preparedness mode right now. We hope that there is zero impact and we don't have to respond in any way at all. But we are prepared. You can never be 100% prepared. There might be something where you overlooked or didn't take into consideration, but at this point in time, we have a workable level of preparedness.
You will have to be giving us that in a little while in the Creole. I understand that you are very fluent.
Not that fluent.
I understand you're very fluent, and now you tell me not that fluent.
I can untie myself.
Okay, well then, very good. Ou kan pou di ma we koutale, aski Michael ka vini, ek nou ka parle a Creole. Aski nou ni yon di ti, nou ka gade broadcast like, yon ni putan lang mawa nou kuma. Action nou ka di awe. Oui.
Makadia we. Le vi ngai sap ki mani ngai di mawe komo ngai pali by Mr. Gaspar.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here live. This is the Hurricane Watch as we track Hurricane Beryl. In just a little while, my colleague Michael Gaspar is going to come in and we're going to have a Creole version of what we just heard a while ago. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel Lake.
Thank you. Is that what you do?
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
In this video, you will learn how to prepare and react when faced with a flood. If you receive an alert from the authorities that a flood is incoming, keep all your valuables, important documents, as well as hazardous or toxic substances on an elevated surface as high as possible. Prepare your disaster kit and your first aid kit. Follow authorities' instructions on TV or the radio. When the flood is imminent, Close all doors and windows, seal off all low-down gaps or openings in your home as best as you can using cloth or adhesive tape for the window frames. Turn off the gas and electricity supply at the mains. Move to an upper floor if there is one. During the flooding, listen to the radio to keep abreast of the latest developments concerning the current situation and to follow additional advice. Do not go out unless instructed to do so by authorities. If for some reason you have to leave your home, inform your friends and family of your departure and where it is you are going to. Never attempt to cross a flooded area, whether you are on foot or in a car. Stay away from any electrical power lines which have fallen to the ground. Do not wait until the last moment to evacuate if ordered to do so. If you need to drink, make sure the water in question is potable. If the flooding is sudden and you are not alerted, watch out for any messages from authorities, either via radio, mobile phones, or warning sirens. Get to an elevated point away from the water. Signal your location if you are isolated. Do not go and collect your children from school. They are taken care of by teachers who are trained for such events.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Pour West Epino, nous ici en place Nimo, côté où ça toute préparation qu'a faite pour coordonner différentes activités qui a organisé activités qui a coordonné quoi il va dire en préparation pour mauvais temps et cyclone Beryl qui a affecté nous tout de suite n'importe petit moment et ça qui est important c'est préparation mais moi quand tu es en Italie me la tenir anti parole et puis directeur ni Mac non c'est Nani aussi et ça c'est organisation qui peut-être non parce que moi modèle moi dis-nous exactement qui est responsabilité
Venez fait là avant cyclone là affecté cette ici. Là on a des fonds moun kataay pour aider cette ici. Police, fire, medical, yo tout ka vinn ensemble avec ces pièces avec l'autre monde. Sur ça coordonner pour mener assistance ba ces moun peut-être kay affecté.
D'accord. So organisation ça ou qui en tête li.
Ouais, prison.
Eh bien, ou qui est responsable qui
oui, moi fait pour comment
tout bail travail.
Oui. Pour nous ça parler ensemble, police qui a fait ça nous peut faire c'est mon académie qui fait ça nous peut faire, médical qui fait ça nous toutes différentes sections qui fait ça ni pour faire et yon rapport qui fait. So many monde qui aider moi pour faire yon rapport si nous ka demander pour assistance si nous est affecté from cyclone là.
D'accord. Tout à l'heure, on m'a nous expliquer tout ça, mais en plus, on t'a parlé de monde qui ça y a créé shelter, ça c'est monde qui pour aller au côté pour y joindre si pour si en cas bah mauvais. Mais avant ou répondre ça, nous ni pour dire c'est mon premier côté yo pour aller si en cas yo joindre une menace, en bagaille peut-être qui affecté c'est aller au la famille yo. C'est monde qui prie yo et ben voisin yo et bon bah comme ça pour aller au c'est mon ça avant ou aller en ça y a créé shelter place l'école les ben n'importe l'autre l'église n'importe bagaille comme ça. Mais dis-nous responsabilité shelter ça là qui manière on peut expliquer ça fait shelter
la panique shelter qui fait cette ici pour les moun situation comme ça pour venir pour été c'est à l'école c'est community center c'est à l'église c'est un bail comme ça c'est bail là il pas fait pour ça
il a pour un petit moment
mais laisse ça fait avant ces moun entrer si on dans l'école on nous bouti toutes ces livres c'était maman là on nous bouti toutes ces bail l'école là qu'a servi pour quitter mon dormir avec là pour yon des jours. Là on lève, ou ka quitter bay là avant avec là ou vini, ou nan chaque temps avec dépenses pour vivre mettre chambre là c'est mon a servi pour être après temps mauvais à passer.
Vie
mettez manière. De là on dépenser là en bay, là une chaise croisée, là un livre ka mancher, mon ka pon bay ou pas ka ça ka fait là. Ou supposé ni security pour place là. Si Léo vient dans shelter, you supposé mourir. Soit dans l'école qui yo pas ka bouiller mourir là. Laissez mon avis ça ka regarder en mitan zi di wel ko vient dans shelter, nous pas mourir après nous ka ça pas nous faire comme ça puis c'est shelter pas pareil, il pas fait pour ça. L'école c'est pas travailler en l'école pour quitter moun mais nous ka servir les moun dans problème. So si un moun vient dans l'école ko la pas yo pas ni en cuisine pour bouiller mourir. On y pour faire provision pour bailler ces moun mourir en shelter. On y bailler sécurité, on y bailler bay pour yo dormir là peut-être c'est mattress peut-être c'est cot on pour mener ces bay là-bas yo et nous pas ça fait yo confortable même si ou pas caillou ou kay dormir ou pas kay mourir il pas pour caillou kay croiser mais on a place pour yon des jours pas pour être tellement temps ou le temps mauvais à passer ou kay quitter place là ou dedans et vie en place ou on place mais place là ou venir dedans quitter même manière ou trois pays.
Ça c'est une bonne commission. Faire ces gens savent qui manière où jouer une place là, qui t'aille même manière. Puis si qu'on dit, il va être désigné pour ça.
Non.
Pas faire mauvais messe.
Pas faire mauvais messe. Si vous n'avez pas à l'école, ou croiser l'école là, ou faire un bail, ou jeter le livre, ou faire ça, ça ou pas supposé faire. Le gouvernement n'a ni responsabilité pour replacer toutes ces balles là où croiser.
Exactement.
Et que quand tu as maman à l'école là derrière, sous un community center, il y a un service à prendre un l'autre bail qui fait. Et que croiser chaise, ou croiser citerne, ou croiser privé, donner pour acheter l'argent pour vivre ou un bail qui pas croiser en commencement pour faire ce qu'il a fait.
OK, dernièrement, dis-nous situation place Sainte-Lucie côté Mounsalé. Ça ou pas ça dans toutes ces places là. Mais généralement qui manière est-ce tout partout en pays à ni
tout partout en pays à ni en côté. Là pas ni en côté en pays qui pas ni en côté en Mounsa à là-dedans. Je vais liste là pour regarder pour dire ces moun là. Là sous pas pour avec ces moun là qui responsabilité pour ces communes là. Sous pas ni rapport ça avec on a un problème. Ou ka wete ba bon ou pas connaître ces moun là qui ont responsabilité pour les bail fait pour demander pour assistance, on y a un problème. C'est bon c'est seulement nous qui dit so ou ka créer ni mot demander pour assistance ou ka trapper ou ka hand ni mot ou ka créer ni mot demander pour assistance et c'est moun qui autant pour là qui connaît toute information là ou ka wete qui ça a besoin ou pas parler ba yo et pas faire ça nous pas ça quitter niveau ici pour aller côté ka wete
qui côté
non, il va faire comme ça. Mais là, en toutes ces communes, il y a une place où ça servi. Peut-être c'est l'église, peut-être c'est l'école, peut-être c'est le community center. Là, il y a des places. Et ce n'est pas Nimo qui a choisi ces places-là. Le ministère de l'Infrastructure qui a fait ces rois, il a regardé ces places-là et a dit oui, ça c'est non, nous ne pouvons pas servir ça encore, puis ça, il a besoin de mourir, l'État. So, il a fait ça, il peut faire pour dire ça c'est un shelter. Pas Nimo qui a dit ça.
Dernièrement, officiel qui commission travail vous voyez ça avant commencer
il y a après disait vous êtes caillou vous êtes à dedans peut-être vous caillou prend courant peut-être vous prend l'eau vous êtes caillou espérer les ou dit tout bail bon ça sort dehors puis si un bail fait à présent police c'est l'autre monde qui est dehors pour try mener assistance by ces monde qui besoin à présent. En tous les cas, là, il y a un accident pour casser les comme ça, ou pas les gens les chimie à Lucia les cabines pour aider, pour mourir avant que le cyclone a passé. So, c'est un souhait. C'est dimanche, la panne travail demain, la panne l'école demain. Oui, tu es caillou, ou tu es ça nous.
Ok, merci un peu pour l'information. Moi, je crois que l'information, ça, en chaque monde qui point, en mettant en tête, et pratiquer avec, à nous faire la vie à primaire pour tout, pas pour nous, mais pour tout le monde.
Tout le monde, oui.
Merci un peu. Restez puis nous allons développer plus d'informations à ce manière, nous allons protéger nous et le pays avant cyclone Beryl.
Merci.
need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Bonjour. Yon komisyon hod ministeri sante a set lisi asou le senta sante a komin la kay ouve kon nou prepawe pou cyclone Beryl. Ministeri sante exafe Gwamoun ka kontine weste asou gad epi jafe chay preparasyon pou cyclone Beryl ki sipose afekti set lisi. Kon nou espere mouve tan sa la, Ministeri Sante vle informe man publik la di chanjman le a kote moun sa jwen servis hod se fasilite sante a komin la. Chanjman an le a pou jwen servis a fasilite a se yon demache Ministeri Sante mette a plas pou asiwe tout rezidant kay sa jwen ka medikal a tou le ka bagay fet bien sibitman, sa se emergency. L'hôpital Denwi ek poliklinik Gozili kay weste ouve bay publik la ek pa kay ferme pièce sa vle di I kay ouve 24 hours daily. L'hôpital Soufouye kay kontine weste ouve même manye I toujou ka fe kote I pa ka ferme pièce sa se 24 hours daily. Tout lot senta sante a komin na kay weste ferme jisa tan yo di peyi a jwen ol klea, apwe mouve tan, ebe cyclone la. Depi yo bay ol klea epi fasilite sante a pani piyes domaj ki bien mouve, osi fasilite sa la kay viwe ouve. Ministeri sante osi vle, mam pibek la sav ki, travaye yo, kay osi ka espeye sa se asu standby, apwe yo bay ol klea pou adwese piye situasyon ki bwize ed imediatman. Sa se pou asiwe tout rezidant wisivwe ka nesesè yo meriti. Ministeri Sante vle asiwe tout sitwayen e kliyant sene sov ek a bost santi. Nou ja fe komitman pou asiwe moun sa jwen servis sante di wan tan sa la ki bien difisil. Nou ka encourager tout moun pou pren prekosyon pou asiwe yo sene sov avan di wan ek apwe cyclone la. Si ya moun bwize assistance medikal souple, pa kachile trop, ebe kouye yon adan se fasilite sa la, pase li mou sa. L'hôpital Soufouye a 468 7604, l'hôpital Denwi a 468 7651. Poliklinik Gozile a 468 7637. Nou vle ou kontine koute kon nou kay potiwe pibik la epi pli informasyon. Merci Achay.
To the hurricane watch, where we are tracking Hurricane Beryl. My co-host with me is Quail Master, Michael Gasper. Michael, we spoke a while ago with Lieutenant Colonel Lake, who gave us the information on the shelters, and now we're going to speak to the president of the St. Lucia Red Cross. The Red Cross, of course, the first responders after the impact of a hurricane. And let's see if we can get Mr. Pierre online. Mr. Pierre, good night.
Mr. Pierre, can you say good evening?
Mr. Pierre? Let's see if he can hear us. Mr. Pierre, good night. Okay, Mr. Pierre, let's see. He's online? We can get him.
Nous allons essayer de regarder si nous avons M. Hubert Pierre, c'est président association Red Cross. Et puis ça c'est mon nom qui a au volontaire qui a situé en situation.
Yes, can you hear me? I am.
Okay, we just got the nod here that Mr. Pierre has been on the line.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. I'm actually watching you live also.
He can hear you. He can hear you. So good.
Okay, Mr. Pierre, if you could just give us a quick synopsis on the role of the Red Cross.
Yes, I'm here. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Just tell it nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Pierre. But just if you could give us a synopsis on the role of the Red Cross and, of course, the level of preparedness of the team, especially with the impending system that is heading to us. On the line.
Yes, I'm here. I'm hearing you loud and clear. Yeah, I'm with you again. Are you hearing me now?
He said he was hearing us loud and clear, but I believe it is important for us to hear from the social cross. Okay, crucial, especially with the impending during this time when we're not hearing anything happening outside.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity from the Red Cross to actually speak with you guys.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Pierre.
For us, it is something that is very, very important. Again, are you hearing now?
Nous regardons voir M. Pierre, mais il est capable. Technologie toujours capable de difficulté de temps en temps. Mais comme nous avons dit, là toujours ni un petit problème. Mais ça nous laisse nous connaître que Red Cross c'est une organisation qui a opéré au long la terre, avec qui a en temps de désastre, en temps de secours, ils sont toujours là. Et en cas ça là. Nous pouvons attendre M. Pierre, mais nous croyons que l'organisation a bien préparé pour aider si un cas pour assister Jean-Pays.
Yes. I'm going to also welcome our friends from DBS Television. They are also broadcasting us live on their channel. So we want to say a big thank you to DBS for joining the watch as we, of course, give the nation important updates on the Hurricane Beryl.
Bienvenue DBS.
All right, so we are going to try to get a hold of Mr. Pierre once again. Mr. Pierre is in fact the president of the St. Lucia Red Cross. So if we have him on, Mr. Pierre? Yeah.
As we update the nation, the updates on the
Quand nous avons parlé et puis lieutenant Lectal a été parlé à ces places-là, moun ça allé. Si un cas encore, à nous faire changer. Premier côté pour y aller, c'est aux familles. Et bien voisines, passer pour courir, aller à des places, nous avons créé ces shelters, l'école, l'église, différentes places. Premier côté où ça aller, c'est la caille famille. Mais en cas, moi, la nuit en liste, peut-être où ça.
Yes, there is a list that has been circulated on social media, Facebook especially, and through various emails as well, where folks can now identify the hurricane shelters within their community, and we have that list right now, and we're going to display it. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can take a look and see just where your hurricane shelter is within your community. As we are waiting to get it on the screen, of course, we have to say a big thank you to Roger. He's working so hard to get everything up and running. I do recall getting a full list on the St. Lucia Nemo page, and I need to remind our viewers that the original Nemo page that we once knew, it was hacked. And yes, so I know a lot of individuals, a lot of folks are heading onto that page hoping to find out some information on the hurricane. Unfortunately, that page was compromised, so a new page had to have been created. So you just search for St. Lucia Nemo, SAINT LUCIANEMO. That is the official Nemo page. And on there, Michael, as you can see, we have various listings of those emergency shelters. So with that, we have in Grosley, for example, you have Granville Grosley, the Granville Combined School, the Full Gospel Deliverance Tabernacle Church. We also have in VC Quay, where you have the Carife Gardens, okay, the Unity Center over there, all right? If you have the list of emergency shelters, you can also go through it for us, with the Grosley Roman Catholic Church being one of them, the Grosley Church of Nazarene, the infant school, the primary school, the secondary school in Corinth as well.
Like à Monchi, c'est Monchi, l'église catholique Monchi. Nous avons ces places où ça allait. Si un cas ou un danger, et qu'on nous dit allez la caille famille avant. Si vous passez, il pas bon, et ben voisine ou caille aller. So nous avons vu c'est Monchi, ces places là Monchi où ça allait, c'est l'église catholique Monchi, l'école Monchi, ça c'est place développement resource, ça c'est Human Resource Development Center Monchi, et moi aller aussi la fait aussi en la fait, ça c'est une autre place en là, la fait Mothers and Fathers Hall, la fait l'église pentecostale, la fait où ça allait Granvier Gozile, c'est l'école première Granvier, et puis Full Gospel Deliverance Tabernacle, ça c'est l'église Adam Gadi mais l'église Bethel Goinvier avec Skadika ou Kaidino Marisol les autres ces places là.
When we talk about Marisol, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Lighthouse on the Hill, Degazor, the SDA Church Mount Olives, and the Damplet Louise Primary School, Balata, the Balata Combined School, and the Balata SDA Church, and the Fundamental Baptist Church, as well as in Timon, you have the New Testament Church of God.
Et quand Babono, c'est mon qui en Babono, quand écouter ces places là où ça allait, si un cas au besoin, où ça secure, ou senti, où il peut aller en côté. Ça c'est Babono Resource Center, Babono, c'est l'école secondaire Babono, l'école primaire Babono, bon l'église avec l'église catholique Babono, aussi en Kako. Nous c'est l'année en Gospel Baptist Church, l'église baptiste en Kako, Bethany SD Church, l'église MDs en Kako, avec l'année en place de Children's Division, ça c'est place pour Timamay, avec l'école primaire Fonso. En la guerre, où ça allait à l'école Nadia, avec le Gospel Hall en Nadia. En Gawan, c'est Mothers and Fathers Hall en Gawan. En Bodjis, où ça allait à l'école Bodjis là, Debawa, Mothers and Fathers Hall Debawa, et l'école Debawa. Et en plateau, où ça allait en plateau, l'église Seven Days Plateau, avec plateau Mothers and Fathers Hall. Et en la croix, où ça allait en la croix Evangelical Church.
Okay, well, Castries North, you will have Lance Road. In Lance Road, the Camille Henry Memorial School, the Maranatha Seventh-day Adventist Church. In Leclerc, you have the Leclerc Roman Catholic Church and the Vidbutey Cultural Club, the Clubhouse. In Chase Gardens, you have the Chase Gardens Human Resource Development Center. So Castries North, the Vidbutey Combined School, the Patricia D. James Secondary School, the Ira Simmons Secondary School, and Mondidor Combined School in the community of Mondidor. If we go over to Castries East, we will see the Bocage Combined School, the Bocage Secondary School, and the Bocage Pentecostal Church all being emergency shelters. The Marcia Community Center, the Marcia Parish Hall, the Bishop Gachet Combined School, and the Marcia RC Church.
Okay, nous en Castries Central, Castries East. Okay. Il m'a fait des manières petit problème là, c'est Castries Central.
Ok, vous allez là.
Vous allez là?
Vous allez là.
Ok. Mais quand Mita ville Castries, ça nous a dit Castries Central. Avant, mon petite commission avant ce qu'a dit, c'est pour faire ces mon changer avant de aller là. Pour savoir pour faire pour crier, c'est mon qui a coordonné cette place là avant. Je passe à aller là. Essayer de faire ça avant. Puis ça fait un changement. Vous comprenez?
Ok.
Puisqu'il compte c'est l'équipe d'Italie. Il peut faire un changement. Il ne va pas mettre mon tout bonnement et que ça pas fait. So en mettant ville Castries, ça nous a dit Castries Central. C'est place là où ça aller pour si un cas au besoin. Si pour assistance, c'est Carmen René Memorial School. Ça c'est l'église RC Boys. Ça c'est T-Boy Castries. L'année de l'école, RC Boys T-Boy, c'est pour T-Mamaï. T-Boy avec plus Mamaï, T-Boy qui plus quoi. RC Boys Primary. Ave Maria Girls Infant. Ave Maria Girls Primary. Avec. Ok. We
have Mr. Pierre.
Mr. Pierre là, présent. Ok. C'est au centre ici. Depuis les années, nous avons expliqué pour nous, M. Hubert Pierre, qui est président de l'association Red Cross Croix-Rouge en Saint-Lucie. Alors,
Mr. Pierre, saying good night to you again. If you can hear us, Mr. Pierre, welcome to the program.
Just go ahead.
Okay.
They're still having a few difficulties getting a hold of.
Pleasant good evening to you. I can hear you loud and clear. I hope you can do the same.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying a pleasant good evening to you. I hope you're going to be saying that you can hear me loud and clear, and I do you. For 72 hours, we should be in the ground, distributing what we call emergency supplies. Beyond this, we help with the health services, and also we help feeding shelters. Our work doesn't end there, however. We continue with special projects as need may arise to ensure that we return to people their dignity, which is very, very important for us. We have been prepared. We have been prepared years, but we keep preparing. We keep checking, our national plan, our job within the national plan. And preparedness has always been our business. We do before, during, and after. And we think we have more work to do before rather than after. Because if you prepare properly, your work will be reduced. If you don't prepare properly, then you'll surely run into trouble. So we have had meetings from Viewport in the south to Grosvenor in the north. And most of all our people have decided that they're putting the right foot forward and they're absolutely ready for this storm. To get on the ground, our specific job is to reach out to those persons who are affected. So we know for a fact that we must watch and walk with non-food items. Especially last year, we heard something which really disturbed us, that everybody came and we felt kids like monkeys. They were just looking at us, but the Red Cross, when they came, that brought us something tangible to help us recover. So for the first 72 hours, if we are short of anything, we actually work with the government to support us with supplies. But generally, we have 190 sister societies around the world, and these are they that support us in our response. That everybody came and kids like monkeys. Okay.
And we just heard from Mr. Hubert Pierre, the president of the St. Lucia Red Cross. We can continue where we left off. Michael, you were giving us the list of the primary schools, RC.
RC. All right, oui, right. Ok, so nous avons témoin vie encore, c'est l'école en mi-temps Ville-Castries, c'est place là où ça allait, c'est Carmen René Memorial School, RC, tous les deux l'école RC, ni petits enfants avec Guantibouay, Ave Maria, tous les deux aussi, Anglican Infant, tous les deux ni tous les deux l'école anglicane, anglaise, nous avons dit, et puis l'église anglaise aussi, comme l'église Seventh Adventist, ça c'est à cela, oui, beaucoup de côtes là, aussi, nous avons Castries City Hall, ça c'est. Comment on va dire Castries City Hall? Castries City Hall, Town Hall. Ok. Et puis l'église méthodiste là, Salvation, l'église Salvation Army.
Okay. I don't know if we have the graphic up already. If we do, Roger? Our graphics are up? Okay. When we call out the various communities with the shelters, on top of that graphic you will see the chair and the number for that chair, and that's the number you would use to call to ensure that your shelter is in fact available. Like Lieutenant Colonel Lake was saying, you need to call the director or your chairperson, and that is who you would call. So let's say, for example, Castries South, Cicero combined, RC combined, the Deliverance Baptist Church, the Cicero Secondary School, the Cicero Methodist Church, and the SDA Church, as well as the Lady Gordon Opportunity Center. You would call on Mervyn Joseph, that is the chair, and his number is 730-2503 or 519-6270. Mount Fortune are the St. Benedict's Roman Catholic Church. That's my church. And that is where you would actually go. That's another shelter. So the graphics would show you the numbers of the share that you would be calling, and you could take that number down as we put up various graphics across the screen. Meekwood North, the Meekwood Village, your chair is Marcelina Newton. The number is 722-3413, 730-2513. And the Meekwood North, the Meekwood Village, you have Limelight Disco, Faith Tabernacle Church, the Meekwood Multipurpose Center, Meekwood Primary School, Meekwood Secondary School, Meekwood RC, and the Ebenezer Seventh-day Adventist Church. In Parfius, you have Parfius Combined School. And again, the chair for that is Marcelina Newton with the phone number 722-3413 or 730-2513.
Ok, makawe, skadi sam akwedi lanyon lot moun nou pou pale pi tout alè, mais avant y prepare koy pou vini ici, nou kay bay plus informasyon. Ekouha sa, de pou koumanse pi yon plas, se les autres se plas la gadi akwedi yo bandi den. Mais c'est ok, ça nous kay fait avant, mais an di se mounan ki tout nous pas ça que tout le monde là même puisqu'il y a pile à pile monde différentes places. So ça nous prendre une pause à présent, nous dévier, nous parler et puis docteur docteur nous connaître avec nous prendre information et puis après ça l'autre nous avoir plus information à ce côté pour nous pour aller si en cas où besoin support.
This is the Hurricane Watch, where we are tracking Hurricane Beryl. Please stay with us. We have more on the way.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Hurricane Watch as we track Hurricane Beryl and its impact on St. Lucia. I'm being joined now by Dr. Glenford Joseph. He's a medical officer in the health and he's going to assist us and just give us a brief insight on the readiness of our health systems here in St. Lucia. And Doc, I know it's one of the most challenging times to even direct or coordinate without even understanding what might be coming. Just give us an insight on what preparations have you and your team been making thus far.
Great. Thank you for having representation from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs at this very important session. First of all, the Ministry of Health with its annual preparation for the Atlantic hurricane season would look at the potential risk that are associated with such hazard, and we do note that here we are looking at very strong winds potential, heavy rains, as well as storm surges, and also other risk associated with it. We do note that we can have contamination of water and foods, as well as post-disaster, the risk of increase in vectors, which can contribute to vector-borne diseases. In addition to that, we also recognize that persons can be impacted through the mental health because of the psychological impact of the storm. Now, the Ministry of Health would have convened several meetings where we have reviewed our operational plans. We looked at our infrastructure as well as, that is, the buildings, the surroundings. We've looked at the equipment that we have, medical supplies, pharmaceuticals, and also the human resource that we need to ensure that we can continue to deliver the essential services while we prepare for the event, during the event, and after the event. There are some key areas that we have looked at in particular when we look at the vulnerability of the population. We recognize the need first to ensure the primary care services are well equipped and in a position to support the secondary care especially as it relates to urgent care. For this reason, we have made special efforts to ensure that key facilities such as the Grosley Polyclinic, the Dennery hospitals, as well as the Suffolk Hospital continue to provide 24 hours. And to be more specific, Dennery and the Grosley Polyclinic usually end their service by midnight. And we have ensured that these facilities do provide a 24-hour service starting today until further notice. And this will depend on the unfolding of the storm. In addition, we have recognized there is a special group of persons. These are persons who are on what we call oxygen concentrators. And we note that if there is a power outage, then these persons will be at significant risk for poor outcomes. And as a result, what we have done is to make provision for these persons to come into the health facility ahead of the storm, so that they can walk with their oxygen concentrators, have them connected at the health facility. And these are facilities where we have generators, so that if there is a power outage through our utility, then these persons, would have a better chance of weathering the storm. And we have seen or identified facilities such as the hospitals, as well as we have the Grosley Polyclinic, Dennery Hospital, the Suffolk Hospital, and we went as far as looking at the comfort bay that can provide such support to the population.
With the health facilities around the island, if one requires medical assistance, is there any way they can contact, if, especially if they have no vehicle to head over to these facilities?
Of course, we do note that the Ministry of Health work in close collaboration with and is being supported by the St. Lucia Fire Service. And as such, persons are encouraged to call the fire service to access transportation towards to be taken to the health facilities. Within the primary care setting, we do note that we have also support with ambulances that can help to transfer persons from one facility to the next. But it is important for persons to rely on the St. Lucia Fire Service if they do not have a means of transporting their patients from home to the healthcare facility.
We have individuals who may feel it necessary to rush over to the various emergency departments. During this time, what is your message to them?
Well, before I give a direct message, first of all, the hospitals would have put certain mechanisms in place to ensure that they can continue to deliver services. First of all, one of the things that would have been done at the hospital level, and these are the secondary, tertiary care levels, where elective surgeries would have been cancelled. There will be cancellation of outpatient clinics, so that they're making more room to accommodate in the event of an emergency. Also, what they would have done is to review the inpatients and to identify those who are stable enough to be discharged, to create added bed space. And at this point, they would have redirected their human resource, especially within the emergency room, to attend to urgent and emergency cases.
Life-threatening cases?
Life-threatening cases.
Okay.
We do note also we have the wellness centers that can, the polyclinics, district hospitals, that can attend to the lesser urgent or non-emergent cases.
So for all non-life-threatening cases, non-emergency cases, we're asking that they do not inundate the emergency emergency rooms?
Yes, make the best use of the primary care services. And this is one of the reasons why we ensure that places like the Grosley Polyclinic, the Denry Hospital in strategic areas are opened for 24 hours, as we do have with the Soufrière Hospital. And of course, we do have a team of nurses, doctors, and support staff to allow us to open some key wellness centers in the event of need to alleviate the overcrowding at hospitals.
Now, I got a notice from the St. Jude Hospital speaking to the renal patients, and if they would be contacted for scheduling for the treatments. And the number I'm reading here is 459-6764 if they have any questions that they should call on that number. For other wellness centers, we have, for example, the Denry Hospital, the Soufrière Hospital, and the Grosley Polyclinic, asking individuals again, if it is extremely necessary, they should come over to the polyclinic if it is safe to do so.
Definitely, before a storm, persons can access services at these facilities. Definitely, during a storm, we do not expect persons to venture out because you'll be putting yourself at greater risk in the midst of the storm. So immediately, once the all clear has been given, then persons can access these services. As noted, while these facilities were updated or upgraded in terms of their service, the hours of operation, it is incumbent upon the individual to ensure that they do not venture out during the storm.
Yes. All right. Well said, Doc. Appreciate the updates. Anything you want to add before we let you go?
Well, at this time is just to encourage the general public to pay attention to the information provided by the National Emergency Management Organization and the St. Lucia Med Service, because this will be very critical as to guiding us as to how we approach or interact with the environment, whether we stay indoors, whether we have to move towards shelters in a very safe way, but also to ensure that especially persons who take medication for chronic illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, among others, to take the medication, because especially in the time of a disaster, there is a risk of your condition worsening. And as such, we do not want to really compound the stress of the disaster with the stress on the body by you not taking your medication as prescribed, and this is just going to lead to a poor outcome. So we encourage persons to really adhere to that, and also pay keen attention to any boil water advisory issued by the National Emergency Management Organization to ensure that you protect yourself against any waterborne illnesses. Because during this disruption of the environment due to heavy wind, flooding, as I said, there is a risk for contamination of water and food. So we really need to be careful, look out for not only ourselves, but relatives and the rest of the individuals in the community, and collectively we can weather this storm.
Thanks very much, Doc. Appreciate it. Folks, what we will do now is take a quick look at our emergency shelter locations. Again, when you look up on your screen, your number of the chairperson, the contact person, will be right there, and you can now give him or her a call. We just had a chat with Dr. Glensford Joseph. Thank you so much for coming in and, of course, lending the much needed advice and support as we all wait to weather this hurricane approaching the island.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Bienvenue, mesdames et messieurs.
Au café bien.
Michael, we're back, and of course, we are tracking Hurricane Beryl as we take a listen. Well, rather, we just listened to Dr. Glensford Joseph speak to the medical readiness, how they are prepared. They're getting themselves ready. Individuals who have certain conditions are being placed on the priority list. Individuals with COPD, for example, you heard those with hypertension, diabetes, etc. Reminding them that your medication is very, very important. You need to ensure that you take your medication, as well as prepare to move if necessary and if safe to do so.
Oui, je vais écouter parole Dr. Joseph, Glensford Joseph, qui est un gros officiel à ministre santé avec il est capable de sous préparation ministre santé en temps comme ça les gens qui espérer cyclone avec comme on dit pratique monde qui a souffert et puis différentes qualités maladies avec maladie comme l'oppression maladie où ça vous avez besoin docteur la maladie au COPD. C'est une autre maladie, moun qui a besoin d'assistance en pile. N'importe l'autre maladie, le cancer aussi, toutes sortes de qualités de maladies. Ministre, l'hôpital, j'ai pris une décision, j'ai changé l'hôpital ni Saint-Jude et puis OKIU, j'ai décidé pour pas faire pièce l'opération. L'opération qui s'est restée derrière, puisqu'il voulait pour si un cas, la ni pièce Kasuku, pour y ça ni place pour traiter ces gens là avec toutes ces bails là avec aussi parler à tout ambulance service ambulance avec service ces pompiers ça fire service avec ces gens là et en l'autre point moi tant Dr. Rinsford dit en parole en conversation de ni et puis il était capable de dire de l'eau manière moun pour faire attention yo bouillir de l'eau et bail comme ça puisque en temps désastre les de l'eau tous animaux toute bagaille de l'eau pas
it's not clean, yeah.
Avec il est important pour moun bouillir de l'eau avec un chai précaution puisque ça can cause plus problème.
The boiling of water was a practice I remember growing up. We used to do quite a bit. Remember when the cholera outbreak hit the island, and we were being asked to always boil your water. We had to bring boiled water to the schools and whatnot. So that is something that I grew up knowing about. But as of late, you find the kids, especially, they don't know to do that. They just want to pick up the bottle of water. All right. So now that's not available. The stores are closed, supermarkets are closed. You now have to ensure that the water you are gathering or you're collecting, it is in fact boiled. And if you no, please don't do what I did when I was a little boy. Okay. Yes. So all of that is very, very important when we talk about weathering the storm, because it's not just what happens before or during, it is what we have to do now after, and we still don't know what to expect. I mean, outside, we may not be able to see, but we can hear. The wind is not as strong, okay, the rain isn't hitting the roof, but that doesn't mean you can venture out and have a ball or have a party.
Exactement. Ou bien dit, même si mon peut-être pour qu'on senti gros force vent avec la pluie, mais ou ni pour pointer temps. C'est tout ça. Raison qui fait c'est mon gars mettre les pour ça. C'est puisque yo ka ouais. Yo c'est mon qui fait étude yo ka ouais et que yo juste savent qui qualité dommage et que juste yo kan faire assurer nous protéger la vie et propriétaire assez pour baisser à sous quantité de dommages nous payons payer. Alors ça nous a dit ici c'est pour suivre question nous ka là comme faire assurer toute information nous ka là c'est bon à information tout ça nous ka c'est bon à information avec une poursuivre puisque nous voulons faire assurer ou bien protéger et nous ka vier après des cyclones nous ka vier l'école nous ka vier un travail nous ka vier même qu'on était avant sans perdre la vie qui perd.
Okay. In a little while, we're going to have sit down with the director of the National Emergency Management Organization, Ms. Kenisha Jeffrey Ezenbert. And of course, we will find out about NEMO and how much they have been preparing and getting ready to deal with the potential impact of Hurricane Beryl.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Bienvenue une fois encore pour le programme de station télévision NTN avec nous ici à bureau NIMO côté nous avons présenté information ça là qu'on nous a regardé ça qui a fait et puis cyclone Beryl qui a menacé Sainte-Lucie avec pas Sainte-Lucie seulement mais l'autre pays comme Saint-Vincent, Barbade, toutes ces les autres c'est petits pays Caraïbes là qui tout près nous il a fait ça en cyclone qu'on nous tétan plus bonheur qui est dangereux en pile avec nous bien contents pour nous ni madame là qui est responsable pour organisation NIMO. NIMO c'est organisation nationale pour management des aspects ici avec nous ici Kenisha Jeffrey Ezenbert. C'est madame bienvenue pour nous parler puis Jean Saint-Lucie à cette situation qui twist peut-être ses premiers go situation comme ça ou quand il est en dedans position comme ça qui manière ça arrive affecter.
Merci pour nous la Rondia. Oui, depuis le mois vinn c'est directeur NIMO c'est premier go système moi ni moi in charge of but encore moi ni un team qui a travaillé avec moi ni chaque confiance yo team ko ici à communication moi team c'est chairperson moi c'est différents district disaster committee tout district au lieu pays nous ni mettre police pompier health so many about team moi many confiance that qui nous ça travail un système ça pour ensure that tout just ici yo safe et puis nous ça respond après nous impacter par système là.
Bon, système là peut-être même beaucoup bien dit peut-être vous même gagne première information parce que moi même qui ça vous attend dans ce système là.
Well nous ni un représentant from Met et puis nous on dit Mazé Saltibas et puis quand il parlait plus les systèmes là mais ça nous savons c'est système là sont catégorie 4 hurricane et là on c'est qualité système ça nous ça expecté un chaive la pluie et ça qui présenter un chaive con flood goglo landslides sea swell storm surge especially pour ces places dans les West Coast là Slawe Kanawi c'est place à Denry Soufouye qui peut la mer so nous voulons tout le monde au Lyon c'est place ça pour chaque précaution nous pas voulons monde aller dehors spécialement l'année les délai yo pas gel appliqué quoi verbe yo quoi système là ça passé nous pas voulons monde aller dehors en bas yo do OK pour aller dehors nous voulons tout le monde rester dedans because nous voulons préserver la vie monde et property moun as much as nous ça pour système ça
plus bon nous c'est un parlement pour des fort docteur Kenny Anthony était parlé quand m'a dit c'est janvier fois pour suivre Sani Mokadi avec pour puisqu'il vieux fort en temps passé sans passer plate avec un jeune qualité effet et bien qualité impact dans la qu'on nous dit anglais en situation comme ça qui ça on peut dire particulièrement quand nous savons que sous le pays peut-être pays jeune plus affecté plus mauvais passer l'instant
well moi ça dit Monsieur Kenny, that qui in your team qui bien préparé, Monsieur Lindy Restep team li, yo za kon nou ka parler là, yo ha activate aussi operation center yo, l'école Binfield Secondary et puis yo préparé pour répondre pour rien pour Vieux-Fort. So pièce concern moun ni la vinn pour Vieux-Fort South, yo sa contacter Miss Lindy Restep moi de limo ma chargé yale but limo yo ha mais limo yale toute plateforme so ça contacter et il ka aider yo
c'est même situation et puis les autres c'est
tout district disaster committee so tout nous ni 18 district committee et puis tout commune l'année on ça nous a couillé chairperson pour ces disaster committee ça et pour ça contacter toutes ces monde ça tout limo et non yo ha mette toute plateforme social media nimo et gouvernement cette ici so yo ça aller les point c'est limo wa pièce problème pièce concern yo ni yo ça contacter ces monde ça et information ça kay vini pour nous en dedans operation center qu'on nous y a besoin là et décision kay point pour si c'est ressource n'importe ça qui n'est pour fait là yo kay voyer pour assister comme yo ça yo mandé pour
so pour les humains on est au qualité ressources on est pour aider hélicoptère bagay comme ça ma on toutes ces ressources
well nous ni ça nous a créé MOUs ça c'est memorandum of understanding pour ressources nous quoi nous kay bouger but nous pas ni so quand on dit qu'on hélicoptère nous ni MOU Saint Lucia hélicoptère so si rien fait nous besoin hélicoptère on sorti en côté ko yo impacté pour aller en l'autre côté den nous ka activer ces MOU ça et puis nous ça joindre assistance ça quand nous ka parler nous ni toute con machine nous hani toute machine human resource nous besoin ils a là les headquarters nous connaissons now là pour concern nous impacter ben concern nous besoin parti pour faire n'importe ça nous pour faire nous ni toute ressource nous besoin à besoin là pour nous ça faire une décision.
Ok, so avant nous parler, de SCADI, enfin, avant, comment parler SCADI en anglais?
Oui.
Si après vous signez parler SCADI. Mais qui dernier parole au cas où vous voyez Jean Saint-Lucie aller au Massala?
Well, moi, je voulais Jean Saint-Lucie écouter information qui a sorti Nimo et puis mettre nous savons là Charlotte côté moun ka wè information but mettre ces official source nous pour toute information là vient pour weather et puis nous même Nimo ka travail et puis toute agency so quand nous dit nous at level free activation so that means toute resource tout système Nimo pas just secretariat la kodoya Nimo so c'est toute agency and the dans pays from police DFE, health, toutes ces différents ministères, so toutes ces bails ça activé, tout système yon en place pour ensure that yo ça aide moun, ces systèmes ça activated. So ça nous ka di moun yo ça nous ça reassure yo that ki pays a en dedans place que nous senti nous pas ouais pour répondre pour rien qui ni pour fait. So moi just voulais yo ça wester dedans qu'on dit les système là qu'on a dit shutdown là commencé 8:40 so nous voulons moun rester en dedans pas aller dans pour ça qui a fait because vous avez la vie ou la vie famille en risque à danger si vous faites ça.
Ok, mais merci un peu Mademoiselle Kenisha Jeffrey Isenbert et puis moi je souhaite bon succès avec pour tout le bagage marché bien pour moi ça c'est un travail qui est très difficile entre cela mais on y support.
Oui, moi je
merci un peu. Ouais, et puis nous avons dévié à dans tout moment il parler anglais et puis monsieur Skadi Eugene même écrit Skadi c'est le IKMC et puis monsieur Eugene.
When the waves swell, the wind blows, and rain starts to pour, you'll ask yourself, how prepared or unprepared are you? Did you board your windows? Protect your home? Secure loose objects so they won't blow away. Bring large items in and low items up. If you're properly prepared, it will help in a big way. Does your family have a plan? Do they know what to do? Is your emergency kit packed, waiting by the door for you? Just because you're not on the coast doesn't mean you're okay. Heavy winds and flooding can wash things away. When a hurricane is near, you need to stay safe. Turn on the radio. Wait for updates. Only leave your home if told so. Grab your bag and go, go, go. Now, if you're home and the heavy wind blows, get away from the windows, watch out for flooding, and protect yourself. You may be without power for a couple days, but your emergency kit should help you to stay. Once the storm is gone and it's safe to go home, be cautious of what's going on. If water's in your path, you have to turn back. Dangerous electricity and things you can't see can hurt you very badly. So before the waves swell, the wind blows, and rain starts to pour, get prepared, make a plan, and protect yourself each and every way.
Track Hurricane Beryl, and with me is the director of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Ms. Kenisha Jeffrey Isenbert. I heard your call. You did very well.
I tried.
I don't know why you were worried. We can speak to you on, of course, the readiness, the preparedness of NEMO. In fact, we had a lengthy discussion a few weeks ago about St. Lucia's preparedness, where you actually gave us an in-depth insight on what NEMO is about, the difference between NEMO and at that time it was the Met Office, because whenever we have bad weather like now, people look to NEMO to give them the weather forecast, what is happening, where is the hurricane, etc., etc., etc. So let's just differentiate NEMO right now with the other agencies. NEMO and when we hear NEOC or CDMA, what is the difference here?
Well, NEMO, like I said, is the National Emergency Management Organization. NEMO makes up every single agency within St. Lucia. So NEMO is you, NEMO is me. So we have, like I said, fire, police, SLASPA, health, the various ministries, the hotel sector, the private sector, the business industry. So every single unit of the country makes up NEMO. That's a broader organization. NEMAC is the National Emergency Management Advisory Committee. This is chaired by the Cabinet Secretary, the Prime Minister, and NEMAC is, like I said, the advisory committee. These are the policy or decision makers, so they come together. The situation is, well, on advice from Met. When we get the reports from Met, they will be activated and they take the decisions. So after those decisions are taken, for example, the shutdown, when these decisions are taken at a NEMAC meeting, we then come to a pre-strike meeting. So we meet the stakeholders and all our other key agencies to tell them the situation, and then we get the reports from these various agencies, so everybody is more informed and we can make a better decision on our preparedness and how we respond.
How we move.
Yes.
Okay, now you said pre-strike. What exactly does that mean when you say pre-strike?
So basically that is, like I said, getting the reports and the state of readiness and preparedness of all your key agencies who play critical roles in your response. So for example, we had our pre-strike meeting this morning at 10 a.m. and it was chaired by Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre. Also in present was Honorable Sean Edwards, the Minister for Education. And at that meeting we got reports from all our utility companies. So we had Lucilec, we had Flow, we had DGC, we had Wasco, we got a report from Chamber of Commerce, we got a reports from SLASPA, we got reports from the tourism sector, solid waste management, fire, police, health. We also got reports from all 18 district disaster committees, and those reports are essential because it tells the Prime Minister as well as our team here what is our state of readiness, what are the resources we have available, what is it that is needed to strengthen our capacity, build our response, what is it that we need going throughout the different communities, throughout our different districts to be prepared for the impending system.
Okay. Now, our state of readiness, what is it now? What is our state of readiness like?
Well, presently we are at a level 3 activation. I can tell the country that we are ready to respond for impact. So our NEOC, we have all key sectors who make up the NEOC, our key decision makers at our NEOC, and that is the National Emergency Operations Center. This is the hub where everything takes place. Also, we have all our 18 district disaster committees. They as well, they are already activated, and they too have their EOCs, which are called District Emergency Operation Centers. What they do is, as they receive the information, it is fed into our National Operation Center. So again, these agencies, their reports are key for us to be able to function effectively within our National Operation Center.
Now, Director, you mentioned about level 3. How many levels are there?
Well, you have level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1, basically that you just have an information, you just waiting, you got information that a system is approaching. So basically your alert, more like your alert phase. Level 2, we had that activation prior to being upgraded to a category 4. So your level 2 is basically you have some key agencies and sectors you have activated, but with a level 3 activation, every single sector, every single agency, all the systems are activated. So as we speak, every single ministry, they would have to activate their own sector EOCs or all their emergency plans, their emergency protocols, the disaster protocols, whatever that they have, it will be activated so that we can now, as the National Operations Center, we'll be able to better be informed to make decisions and to coordinate our operation, because again, the NEMO is a coordinating unit.
Yes.
So we bring together all the resources from the various agencies to ensure that we have a very good response for our country.
Now, getting the message out to the various sectors and of course to the citizenry is important. We understand that NEMO's original Facebook page was compromised, but you have now created a new one. Would you like to speak on that?
Yes, so that was a big blow to us because we had over 13,000 followers, and I think we were sharing tips and not just for the hurricane season, because we wanted St. Lucia to be in a state of, we wanted to be proactive for any hazard, not just hurricanes. So our page, we had been very active providing tips on all various hazards, but we were hacked about, I think 2 months ago, the last time when I was on the show with you, and we had to create a new page. So we used to be Nemo St. Lucia, but we had to create a new page, St. Lucia Nemo, and again we're encouraging persons to go on that page so that we can build our followers back, and then you'd be able to get all information. We put out daily tips, we put out all information coming from various sectors. As we get the advisory again from Met Services, which is our official source, we are working in partnership with Met. When we get the report from Met, because we also have a good platform in our Nemo WhatsApp group chat. So we have a WhatsApp group chat, and we are able to immediately meet over 600 persons on that blast. So what we do, as Met puts out that advisory, we would pull out the key informations, what they want the citizens to pay attention to. We'll pull out that information and we'll put it out as an alert. So immediately you have over 600 persons, and that is shared on various platforms. So we are meeting persons, we are getting the interaction, we are meeting the information that we want shared out there. It is being reach the reach we wanted to get. So we are encouraging persons to join those platforms, because for now this is our main platforms that we utilize to share those information.
Excellent. Anything else you want to add to the general public? Of course, we are expecting impact from Hurricane Beryl tomorrow. What would you like the citizens to know?
Well, again, like I said, we are reassuring the citizens that we are working. We are activated our NEOC. We have all the key agencies. So as we have it, we have police, we have fire, we have health. We have persons who can make decisions. So we are ready at the operations center. We are in constant communication with our district disaster committees, our other key agencies and key sectors, and we are reassuring the public that we are doing our best. We are watching the system. We have Met Services with us. SIDIMA, we can confirm that we have SIDIMA, they have reassured us, the teams are on standby. They are going to provide us with that extra support. We have support from our international donors as well, USAID, GSD, who have indicated that they are willing and ready, and resources have been put in place to respond as soon as we are impacted and we are in response phase. We can assure that those key resources are in place to serve us.
All right, thank you very much, Director.
You're welcome.
Director of NEMO, Ms. Kenisha Jeffrey Isambel, of course, giving us insight on NEMO's preparedness and readiness as we brace for the impact of Hurricane Beryl. This is the Hurricane Watch, Hurricane Beryl. We will be back in just a bit. We'll take in a montage or two and return with my good friend Michael Gasper.
One of the most dangerous parts of a hurricane is storm surge. What is storm surge, you ask? Storm surge is what happens when the winds of a coastal storm push water onto land. In addition, large and destructive waves ride in on the top of the surge. These water surges then wreak havoc and can cause major damage and flooding many miles from the storm. Not limited to coastal properties, storm surges from seawater traveling up streams and rivers can flood inland homes too. And is it strong? Able to carry away cars and demolish entire communities. Storm surge is what officials use when determining who to evacuate. Once water starts to rise, the destructive rush can quickly cover a lot of ground: homes, cars, people, pets. If you get anything from this video, let it be this. When officials say it is time to evacuate, go. Don't fall victim to storm surge.
Natural disasters happen and impact your home, family, and pets. But there are many things you can do to lessen the impacts. The Kalui family knows all about being prepared. They've prepared a household emergency plan, have an emergency kit with food, water, medication and spare clothes, have an emergency contact list, know how to turn off the water, power and gas, have and can use a fire extinguisher. They've taken out insurance and checked that it covers flooding, fire damage and storm damage. And they've stored important documents. They've also prepared their home, cleared the gutters and checked the roofing, trimmed branches, and removed leaf litter, firewood and fuel containers. Next door, Mr. Jones lives with his cat, Meow. The Kalui family asked Mr. Jones if he'd like some help getting prepared for possible severe weather.
Can I help you get prepared for a disaster?
Maybe another day.
Warning, heavy rain and strong winds are on the way.
It's me, Sheldon, Mr. Baldwin.
We better tie down the loose items.
Don't forget Yap.
I better check on Mr. Jones. The Logan Early Warning app has sent an alert. A severe storm is headed our way.
Doesn't look like it'll rain too much. I'm busy watching my favourite show right now.
Will our trampoline be okay, Dad?
Yes, I've tied it down so it won't blow away.
Reports are suggesting that the worst of the storm has moved out to sea. Residents are advised to stay safe and inside where possible.
Mr. Jones, are you okay?
I can't find Meow.
Why don't you come next door and join us?
After the storm passes, it's time to help each other clean up. Remember, when you're collecting debris, watch out for snakes and spiders. Don't touch the fallen power lines. Make sure you record damage for insurance purposes. Mr. Jones is sure he will be better prepared next time.
It pays to be prepared.
In this video, you'll learn how to prepare for a hurricane or a large storm, and what to do if you find yourself in such a situation. Usually a hurricane is announced in advance in weather reports, so the authorities and the public are informed that a dangerous meteorological event is imminent. If the authorities issue a hurricane warning, prepare a disaster kit and a first aid kit. Put your documents, valuables, and clothes in waterproof bags. Reinforce your doors and windows with wooden panels nailed down if you do not have shutters. Bring inside any object that may be caught up by the wind and become a dangerous projectile. Bring pets indoors and safely house them in their pet carriers. Follow safety instructions on the radio or television. Act quickly if evacuation orders are issued by authorities. During the hurricane, stay inside whenever possible. Unplug all your domestic appliances and switch off the power supply at the mains. Follow safety instructions given on the radio or television. Limit any journeys. If you must go out, be sure to inform family and friends about where you're going. If you are in a car when the hurricane breaks, stop your car far away from trees or electric cables which could fall on you. Avoid stopping at the bottom of a steep hill or on low ground susceptible to flooding. Stay in your car. In order to minimize the consequences of a hurricane, regularly prune dead branches from trees and cut down any dead trees. If you live in a house, Check your roof regularly to ensure it is solid and waterproof. Repair it if necessary.
Create a plan for your home, and don't forget about those who may need assistance during an emergency.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Welcome back to Hurricane Watch as we track Hurricane Beryl. My co-host with me, Michael Gasper, and we're being broadcast live on various social media platforms as well as the PBS television and the National Television Network. Now, Gasper, we've had discussions, we've had chats with various directors of the different organizations responsible for our preparedness. And we will be having a chat with another gentleman from the Central Castries District Disaster Committee, the chairman, Mr. Davis Paul. Mr. Paul can hear us. Good night, Mr. Paul.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you so much for joining tonight. We just have a few questions for you. You could just bring us up to speed on how your committee is doing and the preparations for the impending weather system.
Well, as we speak, the team has already put the protocols in order in terms of, number one, getting the homeless people housed, along with Equity and the Constituency Council. We have made our public relations announcement in terms of people in low-lying areas staying indoors, elevating the important stuff, and getting assistance as family members if needs be. We only had one individual who said that she has no family she could go by, and we're giving her full assistance at the Castries Constituency Council, which is a town hall. She's there with her two sons. Other than that, we are monitoring and ensuring that we have everything in place to ensure that we give the public the assistance they need.
Excellent. Now, if individuals would like to reach you or committee members, is there a certain number that one should call?
I did not hear you properly.
If someone would like to get to reach you, or you or your committee members, is there a number that they can call?
Yes, my telephone number is 730-2517.
Okay. Now, Mr. Paul, on social media, we've had a lot of questions coming in, especially since we started talking about the shelters. And one of the questions we have been getting so far is about a shelter in Bapatat, asking about the opening of the shelter as to why it wasn't open to the general public. Could you remind us on how the opening of shelters work, especially in your region?
The opening of the shelter is not something we do before the actual disaster. We do that after assessment. That's why we insist on letting the public know that you first seek assistance from family members, because it may maybe just one person needing assistance, and it wouldn't be good to open a shelter for one individual. For sure, we have a shelter which is open, like I said, but that is for the homeless people, and it is at the Vigi Sports Complex.
Okay. So again, shelters are not open before the system.
Well, the shelters can open before if we have a serious problem on our hands. For say, like we have 6, 7, 8 houses which is in compromising state. So then you would think of human first and giving them the assistance that they need. But again, I will reiterate that we insist on telling them that you seek shelter at the family members, neighbors, your friends, which is easier for you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I'm glad.
I almost called you Gearbox, Mr. Paul.
Yes.
Yes, Gaspar here.
Yeah.
And parler un petit créole.
What's that? Sorry?
And parler un petit créole.
Créole, oui, moi ça parle créole.
Dis-nous situation et puis place la côté là, qui manière balayer pour moun qui peut-être plus mais comprendre nous en créole, qui manière y est.
Ça, on savent nous toujours qu'à faire ça pour chez nous. Et nous, qu'à suivre ça, c'est moun ça. Les glovines, nous c'est mon là qui bon la place, qui panique, yo toujours là, so nous mettons yo à la place, nous quand il que yo docteur là, ou ça tout yo quand que yo manière nous dit pour comité même à Castries, nous qu'a fait saloper pour ensure that c'est moun ça qui a mis problème, nous ça faire bail pour aider yo.
OK. Bon, moi bien content puis pas normal ben souvent on ga joindre moun ka occupé moun kon ça ou ka fait là. C'est un travail qui spécial. Qui situation là à présent? Quand nous ka parler là, combien moun ni qui ça ou ka fait là?
Actuellement quand nous ka parler là ni après c'est 40 moun. Nous had by nous ni assistant City Council Ministry of Equity. So ni mo habano global yo madame te apporter di te ba yo. So nous ka hen moun pour aider nous ça pour délai pas ouais mais on est pour faire servir au là et pour voir que c'est moun là.
Right. Mais c'est difficile pour yon moun ou yon occupé 40 moun. Est-ce là ni l'autre moun est pour?
Oui, là ni l'autre moun, nous ni un team, là ni nous ni un team, nous pas travailler par nous comme nous la City Council Ministry Equity niveau secretariat la ka aider nous et là ni moun de wala qui ka bay ka porter bagay les nous yo savent nous ni ces moun là.
OK. Eh bien avant nous aller dis-nous qui manière condition de waye puisque côté moi là moi pas ouais nous pas attendre rien ou peut-être qui de wala ça on attend
si l'appli quand nous ka parler mais pour dire qu'on go rien nous pas connait go rien c'est juste l'appli Well, I can be also Makai Domi also. When you put ça que a fait pour moi. Faire ça, moi, ça fait pour aider.
Eh bien, merci un peu, M. Paul. Nous apprécions ça, simplicité, car oui, merci. Avec, nous croyons que tout le bagage a passé bien. Et puis, vous, avec ces autres caoutchoucs là.
Merci, ça va pour bon Dieu, nous tous pour aider. Pour tout le bagage passer cordial.
D'accord. Bonne soirée.
Pas de problème. Ben bon soir.
Merci.
Thank you very much, sir. And that was Mr. Davis Paul, the chairman of the Central Castries District Disaster Committee, speaking to us on, of course, the level of preparedness of his committee and what he has been doing so far and how they are preparing.
40 people.
40 people.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Also hearing him explain, of course, how shelters really function. And that's something a lot of people may not be privy to or understand, that you cannot open it just before the storm. Right. And we are going to remind them that you seek shelter from family, friends, neighbors even. The number, if you would like to call us and let us know what's happening within your area, is 488-4675. We are going to be posting it on our screen as well. 488-4675. That is our number for folks in the diaspora. Put your 758 in front of the 488, so it will be 758-488-4675. Just getting a message coming in that it just started raining in Vieux-Fort North. Okay, so Vieux-Fort North has some rain. So folks, you are invited to call us up at 758-488.
Tu me dis ça en créole. Nous depuis il y a plus que 2 temps, nous parler, nous avoir information avec moi quoi ça c'est là pour si ou poko ça c'est pas ça pas les monde qui dormir puisque ou qui espérer vent ou qui espérer si un cas ou pas dormir avec ou voulez participer en discussion nous quand inviter pour couiller nous oui nous ça autant monsieur Paul parler puis nous aller nous avons des difficultés avant mais ça a résolu à présent ça couiller nous l'imoa c'est 488 4675. Je vais répéter, l'IMOA c'est 488 4675. Avec nous, avons bien envie de ça, on est pour dire qui manière il a passé, qui manière en différents coins pays, fait nous savent qui se lance là, oui, Babo, Novier, Fort, là, oui, n'importe côté. Couillez nous pour avec nous participer, fait nous savent qui ça va attendre si la pluie a tombé, enfin nous voulons savoir qui manière il est dehors là.
Okay, so the folks can of course reach out to us on that number. And Gaspar, we were chatting earlier about folks not really seeing the bad weather, okay, not getting the rain, not getting the wind, and maybe looking at it as an opportunity to think we're not getting any storm. And we of course say, no, that is not what we have to be thinking about right now. That's not the way to go. That's not what we have to do. We need to battle down and of course protect us and our loved ones. So
you new mescali. Oh, c'est mon pas sérieux. You can dit la cagne mauvais temps, vous pas rien. Vous comprenez? Avec you can aller dehors fait affaires yo avec simplicité qu'on Kendall. Moi me couille scadi, excusez-moi pour ça. Quand scadi de nous, c'est un bail qui dangereux puisque toutes ces moun qui a fait étude, c'est que moun qui a étudié conditions temps. Vous savez l'année moun après-midi l'année moun qui a allé en dedans cyclone même ça y a hurricane hunter yo ka aller en pleine yo ka aller en dedans pour mesurer force cyclone avec ces moun ça a fait tout ça avec c'est yo qui j'ai dit nous manière bah la mauvaise manière force cyclone ça là qui a poussé qui arrivé 4 qui arrivé degré ça là c'est bagaille pour nous prendre à sérieux.
When we read the last report, it stated that the hurricane was already nearing 130 miles per hour. Okay, 215 kilometers per hour with higher gusts, which means the number that I just said, it will become this much.
But higher gusts, in the low curtain, I got an whoop.
Your sound effects are really on point.
Oui, au curtain whoop. Comment expériencer comment cyclone nous a. Premier, comment
the biggest impact I've had, I remember clearly, was Tropical Storm Debbie. That one had a great impact on my life, and it made me respect these weather phenomena. Persons who were not concerned about Debbie, I can tell you that when the forecast was given, when the various messages were put out, people were not following it. We went to bed. I remember going to bed that night. I remember waking up hearing the rain. I loved the sound of the rain on the galvanized. And when I woke up the next morning, I had a retaining wall right on my bed. Okay, it caused a mudslide behind my house, and the retaining wall just gave way, and it fell right on my bed.
Wow!
And I remember that because normally I would be sleeping in that corner that was crushed. But I was just sleeping on the edge of the bed that night. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe I was feeling troublesome. I was feeling rebellious against the guy. I was sleeping on the edge of the bed that night. And the next morning, I have a retaining wall, mud all in my room, and my life being spared. So from that time, I started respecting the minute they say a hurricane, a tropical storm, a tropical depression. I am listening and I'm obeying every single bulletin.
Mais ça qui est intéressant, Scotty, c'est tropical storm. C'est pas un hurricane, hein? Tropical storms, il partait même un degré en hurricane, eh bien, en cyclone qu'on nous dit. C'était qu'il dit en mauvais temps. Avec ça, c'était le 10. Je vais changer ça tellement que le 10 septembre, l'année 1994, 1994. Vous savez qui m'a dit ça, Ryan O'Brien. Même jour ça, moi, le dernier, je l'ai fait. C'est pour ça qu'il y a une débit.
Ok.
C'était un chien, toi, il pas tenu autant. Ça a pas tenu autant avertissement qu'on nous a fait à présent. Après, il y a un river à ce monde. Ça. Mais au salon l'autre il matché même temps ça il quittait début quittait un go marque l'associé un go chou l'associé descend ça c'était en bas il quittait en chaîne mon partage mais ouais avant avec mais avant ça nous moi déjà ouais Alan
I heard the story.
Alan c'est là qu'on balayer tout partout temado monsieur moi ouais en chai et c'est pour raison qui fait nous cadeau nous bien contents qui technologie et moi de dire monde ça après-midi nous comptons supposé content pour ouais technologie avancer tellement pour savent qui en cyclone va venir et pour nous préparer ou ça qu'a tiré longtemps en tant grand maman c'est mon technique ouais la pluie et qui pas maintenant rien puis pas une technologie vous comprenez ou ça qu'a tiré comme un monde qui mort c'est nous qui ni bénéficie ça là à présent supposé point c'est l'avantage c'est bien ça là.
Yeah, well said. Of course, everybody enjoys saying that St. Lucia is a praying nation, St. Lucia is blessed and whatnot, but being blessed and being a praying nation, it will not help if you are not following the rules and following all the warnings that are being posted. So we're asking again, even though you may not be seeing any bad weather just yet, please don't venture out. Obey the island-wide shutdown that has been put in place. It started from 8:30 until the all clear is given. I'm being told that we are standing by for an address by Archbishop Meleze. A statement from the Archbishop Meleze, so we are going to ready ourselves for that.
Brothers and sisters in Christ, by now we would all be aware of the impending tropical system, Hurricane Beryl, which threatens to impact St. Lucia and other islands of the Lesser Antilles. The Prime Minister has called for a national shutdown from 8:30 p.m. on Sunday, June 30th, 2024. Let us take heed of this precautionary measure. By now, you would have done all you can to safeguard your property and stocked up sufficient supplies in the event of a real crisis in the aftermath of the storm. However, it is extremely important that you and your family remain calm and collected in such a time of danger. I encourage everyone to remain united in prayer so that the Lord, who is the calmer of all storms, will look upon us with mercy and spare us from a disaster. May the good Lord protect you, your family, and our country. Amen.
Natural disasters happen and impact your home, family, and pets. But there are many things you can do to lessen the impacts. The Kalui family knows all about being prepared. They've prepared a household emergency plan, have an emergency kit with food, water, medication, and spare clothes, have an emergency contact list, know how to turn off the water, power, and gas, have and can use a fire extinguisher. They've taken out insurance and checked that it covers flooding, fire damage, and storm damage. And they've stored important documents. They've also prepared their home, cleared the gutters and checked the roofing, trimmed branches, and removed leaf litter, firewood, and fuel containers. Next door, Mr. Jones lives with his cat, Meow. The Kalui family asked Mr. Jones if he'd like some help getting prepared for possible severe weather.
Can I help you get prepared for a disaster?
Maybe another day.
Warning, heavy rain and strong winds are on the way.
It's me, Sheldon, Mr. Baldwin.
We better tie down the loose items.
Don't forget Yap.
I better check on Mr. Jones. The Logan Early Warning app has sent an alert. A severe storm is headed our way.
Doesn't look like it'll rain too much. I'm busy watching my favourite show right now.
Will our trampoline be okay, Dad?
Yes, I've tied it down so it won't blow away.
Reports are suggesting that the worst of the storm has moved out to sea. Residents are advised to stay safe and inside where possible.
Mr. Jones, are you okay?
I can't find Meow.
Why don't you come next door and join us?
After the storm passes, it's time to help each other clean up. Remember, when you're collecting debris, watch out for snakes and spiders. Don't touch the fallen power lines. Make sure you record damage for insurance purposes. Mr. Jones is sure he will be better prepared next time.
It pays to be prepared.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
The
is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Good morning. My name is Rihani Isidore, and this is Hurricane Watch. We are broadcasting live from the NEMO Secretariat in Bize, Castries. And at this time, St. Lucia, we'd like to remind you that we are under a hurricane warning as we brace for major Hurricane Beryl. Now, the national shutdown is in effect and has been in effect since 8:30 June 30th. Today is, of course, it's after midnight, so it's July the 1st. National shutdown in effect. The Prime Minister made the initial announcement of the national shutdown during an address to the nation. That was on June 29th, Saturday. All right. Now, we trust that you are watching us. Watching this broadcast at home or somewhere safe. Only essential workers are authorized to be outdoors during the shutdown, of course. That means all civilians must be indoors until the all clear is given. Now, it is 12:20 a.m. July 1st approximately. We want to take a look at the latest weather report from the National Hurricane Center. We may not be able to bring you those images at this time, but we do have the 11 p.m. Update from the NHC. We are aware of it. Just in summary, Hurricane Beryl, or Major Hurricane Beryl, is a Category 4 hurricane. It is moving westerly and will likely impact the Windward Islands in the coming hours. St. Lucia will feel the effects of Major Hurricane Beryl at approximately 2 a.m. in the coming hours. That's today, July 1st. And just a reminder, as reported by the NHC, Hurricane Beryl is a Category 4 storm. So what does that mean, Category 4? We'll get some expertise in a few moments to break down some of the meteorological facts concerning Hurricane Beryl and other storms. But for the most part, Category 4 storms have sustained winds up to 130 miles an hour with higher gusts. It can cause life-threatening storm surge, flash flooding, and mudslides. Now, you're probably wondering or asking, will St. Lucia experience 130 mile an hour winds associated with Hurricane Beryl? This is where I'll pause, and I'd like to invite my guest, meteorologist Vigil Saltibus. She's sitting next to me. Miss Saltibus, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us and joining me. We're pulling an all-nighter together at the NEMO Secretariat in Bize. So, as we were just talking about, Hurricane Beryl, or the NHC has the Hurricane Beryl tracking over the Grenadine Islands and Grenada. But let's go back to Category 4 storms. How dangerous is a Category 4 storm?
Very dangerous. Very dangerous. The winds for the category are from 130 miles per hour to 156 miles per hour. These winds would cause catastrophic damage to livelihood and property and infrastructure, and would cause or produce some very tall waves, strong waves, and very, very high waves, and some storm surge, as you mentioned previously.
Storm surge, can you clarify or elaborate on what exactly is a storm surge? There are waves and then there's storm surge.
Yes.
Is there a difference?
Yes, the surge is an added height, a buildup of water accompanying the system. It acts like a small vacuum, so it actually pulls the water up. So according to normal tides, you have high tide and low tide. So whatever height would have been your tide at this point in time, the surge would add an additional few feet possibly to that height of your normal tide.
Storm surge will make things worse.
Yes, and it will also go further inland if you're near coastal part of the country. So if the water is coming up along the beach normal time, with a storm surge, it goes further inland and could actually cause more damage.
All right. If possible, maybe the technicians can bring up the latest weather tracking forecasts on screen, if possible. But we can still try our best to describe what is to come and try to bring you some of the information from the National Hurricane Center. I know that you were following it diligently over the several hours, and you will continue to do so. As it stands, based on the latest images, latest information you've received from the NHC, where in the region, in the Windward Islands, will receive or feel the brunt of Beryl?
Okay, based on the current location of Beryl as of the 11 p.m. update, Beryl is 11.5 north, 58.1 degrees west. And on its present location, it is still southeast of St. Lucia. We're using St. Lucia to say that place it so a person could actually visualize how far it is from us. But the present motion is to the west, and it's moving west at about 17 knots. So on its present path and its latitude is going to be passing over the southern part of the Grenadines and possibly Grenada as well.
So the Grenadine Islands, Grenada, will feel the brunt of Hurricane Beryl. However, hurricane conditions could still affect St. Lucia?
St. Lucia is about a few hundred miles, almost 100 miles from the center of Beryl, and the hurricane force winds are concentrated around 30 miles out from the center. St. Lucia is about a little bit more than that, possibly around within 70 to 80 miles out from the center. So storm force winds are extended 115 miles from the center of Beryl. So St. Lucia is within the range of the tropical storm force winds. However, within the storm force winds, there are gusts, and the gusts could exceed storm force winds and be in a category of hurricane.
Let's break it down some more. Let's unpack it some more. So we can expect sustained winds, tropical storm force, sustained winds, 73 miles an hour or less.
Yes.
Dangerously high storm surge is still a possibility?
Still high, yes.
And as far as the rainfall is concerned?
We can expect about 3 to 6 inches, which is about 75 millimeters, 150 millimeters of rainfall.
73 mile an hour sustained winds. How problematic might that be for St. Lucia?
Problematic is that it's a very strong system, and that is the threshold for the category of a tropical storm to a hurricane. So if it's at least 1 mile per hour stronger, it would be in a category of a hurricane.
And would you think that's possible?
It is possible. We're still anticipating the results, the observations from our stations at Hiwanura at the south of the island and George Charles to the north of the island. So based on observations, we will have an idea of how strong we actually are going to experience these tropical storm winds.
Rainfall up to 6 inches in certain areas. So we already know, being St. Lucia, being in the hurricane belt, as they say, low-lying areas prone to flooding, landslides.
Yes.
It's going to be more of what they should already be used to.
Yes, but keep in mind that we had already experienced a tropical wave in the past couple of days, and the soil saturation is, the soils are pretty moist already.
And this
is an additional amount of rainfall on the soil moisture content,
increasing the probability for landslides
and flooding.
All right.
This flash flooding is most likely to occur.
All right. Well, we're going to talk more, continue speaking about Hurricane Beryl and its development over the last few days. I mean, it's July 1st, but I think it's safe to say that maybe a little more than 72 hours ago, Hurricane Beryl was nothing more than a depression out in the Atlantic Ocean. Based on the data we tracked on June 28th, where weather agencies upgraded what was tropical depression into a tropical storm. That's June 28th, right? That same day, June 28th, then Tropical Storm Beryl continued to feed off the favorable conditions, in the Atlantic. It's warm waters.
Yes.
It's like jet fuel.
Favorable conditions.
For storms, right? It fed off those conditions over the course of the 28th, and by the 29th, Tropical Storm Beryl strengthened into a Category 1 hurricane. Less than 24 hours after that, on June 30th, today feels like yesterday, Hurricane Beryl intensified into a Category 2 hurricane. And not long before that, today, we had it attained major hurricane status today, June 30th, and within hours,
yes,
it moved from Category 3 to Category 4. That summary is interesting. That development, that rapid development, intensification within those short few hours, in a matter of, it doesn't even feel like days.
Yes.
How do weather experts how do you interpret this? Is this a normal situation?
It is not normal, but it has happened before, and we expect it to happen again. It may not be near our region.
The Logan Early Warning app has sent an alert. A severe storm is headed our way.
Doesn't look like it'll rain too much.
Alberto, that was by the coast of Mexico.
Yeah, Gulf of Mexico.
So we are now on the letter B. We have a number of letters to go through, a number of names for the season. The peak season is in September, where we have increased hurricane activity, storm activity. So the chances of these those areas of disturbance becoming a storm and then further going through the rapid intensification, especially when they get the warm waters, the warm surface waters, probability of this thing happening would be more frequent than you'd know.
It sounds like you're saying this is the new normal.
Well, the tropical Atlantic sea surface temperatures have been enormously hotter than usual this year. We experienced an El Nino, a moderate to strong El Nino last year, and we are slowly transitioning into a La Nina. Towards the end of the year, La Nina predominantly it provides the environment, makes the environment more favorable for storms, and it so happens that the transition to La Nina is actually towards the end of towards the peak season of the hurricane season.
That's same September?
That's same September, October, November. So it adds less, it makes the environment so favorable that it adds less disruption. There's less disruption. So you have less wind shear, especially in the upper levels, so the systems become more stable. Though you have the warm waters, there's fuel in the system which it wants. So lack of wind shear, warm sea waters.
It's like an incubator.
Yes. So the environment is just very ready. It's
so speaking of the new,
tell the season to just come on.
New normal. There's already an area of interest that you and the NHC weather agencies are looking at. And Hurricane Beryl hasn't even moved over us just yet, but there's something further out?
Yes, there's another area of disturbance that we are currently monitoring. It's still an area of interest. It has a 40% chance of development into a possible tropical depression within 48 hours. Within 7 days, there's a 70% chance of it.
And it's tracking similar to Hurricane Beryl?
Yes, it's following in the same path of Beryl, and this is only this is preliminary, so it can change later on, but so far models are in agreement that it's going to follow the similar path as Beryl.
In your years as a meteorologist, have you seen anything like this before?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yes,
maybe that's a good thing. So in the coming hours, what can St. Lucia expect? It is just after it's 12:30 a.m. July 1st. In the next 2 hours, where will things stand in the next 2 hours?
Okay. current radar imagery is showing that there's a band of convective cloud activity, and it's mostly associated with those kind of clouds that give you thunder, lightning, and heavy rain. So within the next few hours, we might experience some heavy showers across the island, possible thunderstorm and lightning. Afterwards, we do not expect it to last too long. There will be a break in between, and then this may last for another few hours. It's not all clear. The system has not passed.
Yeah,
We're still
so.
anticipating some more rainfall activity and storm force winds coming in the next
So I guess
throughout the day.
so what we would want to know, St. Lucians would want to know, when would the worst of Beryl move over St. Lucia or affect St. Lucia?
The worst of Beryl. Initially, the worst is usually the first part because it hits it like a wall. So you have a pretty strong possibility of some gusts with that. And the tropical storm winds are going to continue throughout the day. However, it's going to slowly increase until possibly midday. That is when we expect the center of the system of Hurricane Beryl to be passing over the southern Grenadines and Grenada. And afterwards, we expect the next 6 to 8 hours that winds would gradually decrease, and the wind direction will change as well. So presently, we should be experiencing northeasterly winds, and as the system passes over the Windward Islands, we expect the winds to slowly transition to a southerly component. The wind's going to be southerly, and this is going to bring rainfall from the south. So if you're blocking certain windows that are facing the northeast, at the end of the day you'd have to go and block the other windows facing the south and the west.
Light at the end of the tunnel. We're all looking forward to it. How soon? How long? How much time? Are you able to forecast how much time Beryl will take as it moves over St. Lucia? How soon before this system is moved on to the west and in our rearview mirror?
We're anticipating and we're hoping that, according to the models, that by the end of this afternoon into the evening, we expect our conditions to significantly improve, and by I suppose I'm gonna guess here because I don't have my my system in front of me, that late evening, late afternoon to evening, that we should be experiencing a significant improvement.
Significant improvement. Okay.
As in for the winds.
That is maybe a little more than 12 hours from now. Between now and then, St. Lucia, we need to hunker down, remain indoors. We're under a national shutdown. Wait for the all clear before we even make any attempts to venture out. So a question coming in from our platforms. Are we, based on your observations, based on your participation in some of these critical meetings on the NEMAC and so on, preparation-wise, how are you feeling about St. Lucia's preparation ahead of the passage of Beryl?
From what from the feedback that I've been hearing, that St. Lucia seems to be pretty prepared. We had plenty notice. We had from since Thursday, Friday, if persons are listening to the weather report, we have been stating that there is a system out in the Atlantic, and the probability of it developing into a hurricane is pretty likely, and we're hearing that persons have been preparing. NEMO has been the lead on making sure that the shelters are prepared and food for the homeless.
Yes.
They receive food, the place to shelter, and I believe things are going okay from what I'm hearing.
Yep, things are going okay, and I want to thank you. We will talk again, hopefully, at some point in time. But this was Miss Vigil Saltibus. She's a meteorologist, part of the NEMAC team.
Well, yes.
Yeah, all right. She's
St. Lucia Med Services.
St. Lucia Med Services providing the weather guidance we need to stay informed on all things concerning Hurricane Beryl. If you draw your attention to me while Miss Beryl proceeds to satellite monitoring, we just want to take a look back at take a look back at the Prime Minister's second address delivered on June 30th, yesterday. It's after midnight, so we have to say yesterday. Yesterday evening at about 6 p.m., several hours ago. Let's recap the Prime Minister's second update. He more or less provided that update following the conclusion of the last pre-strike meetings that was convened by the NEMAC. What is the NEMAC? The NEMAC is the National Emergency Management Advisory Committee. They concluded their final meetings on June 30th. Coming out of those meetings, as the Prime Minister explained last night, teams attached to the local district disaster committees, the DDCs, they concluded their final ground assessments yesterday, and all reports indicate that they're ready to go. They're standing at the ready for Hurricane Beryl. Hospitals, wellness institutions have activated their emergency plans. Emergency shelters are ready to support evacuations. Earlier in this broadcast, you would have heard from the members of the St. Lucia Cadet Corps, who explained the situations regarding our evacuations, well, our shelters, all right? Most of the shelters, according to the Prime Minister, are ready to receive evacuees if needed. Now, the NEMO, the National Emergency Management Organization, is prepared to activate shelters as needed. And as you may have heard earlier, some of the homeless have been safely transported to a facility, secure facility, housing facility in Castries on the VG complex. The protective services, those are the police force, the fire service, they are on high alert and stand ready to respond to any emergencies should they arise during the passage or in the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. And of course, utility companies, they also comprise the NEMAC. They play a critical role. Their teams will be deployed if needed to restore essential services. That'll probably happen following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Those are just some of the takeaways from the Prime Minister's address delivered on June 30th. His final address before, of course, the passage of Hurricane Beryl. We may hear from him as this broadcast evolves. I believe we will also hear from another member of the NEMAC team, that's the Commissioner of Police, Mrs. Crucita Descat-Pelius. But before we bring her on, just to remind you that this is Hurricane Watch. This program, this broadcast is here to provide you with the updates and the bulletins regarding Hurricane Beryl. It is a Category 4 major hurricane. That means it's dangerous. That means it can threaten property, it can threaten lives, and it will or can damage property. As we heard from the meteorologist here at the NEMO Secretariat, Hurricane Beryl is tracking westerly. The brunt will likely affect the Grenadines and St. Vincent. However, that doesn't mean St. Lucia is going to be spared in any way. We can and will likely experience a tropical storm force winds. That's 73 miles an hour sustained winds or less, a mile an hour extra. That's Category 1 strength. So residents in low-lying areas need to exercise extreme caution. Take all the necessary precautions. Well, you would have had to have done so already, and stay alert. So we will transition to a break, to an earlier message, and on the other side of the break, we will be speaking with the Commissioner of Police.
Thank you.
Wait, Gaspar?
We need to be together.
What's this?
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Hurricane is announced in advance in weather reports, so the authorities and the public are informed that a dangerous meteorological event is imminent. If the authorities issue a hurricane warning, prepare a disaster kit and a first aid kit. Put your documents, valuables, and clothes in waterproof bags. Reinforce your doors and windows with wooden panels nailed down if you do not have shutters. Bring inside any object that may be caught up by the wind and become a dangerous projectile. Bring pets indoors and safely house them in their pet carriers. Follow safety instructions on the radio or television. Act quickly if evacuation orders are issued by authorities. During the hurricane, stay inside whenever possible. Unplug all your domestic appliances and switch off the power supply at the mains. Follow safety instructions given on the radio or television. Limit any journeys. If you must go out, be sure to inform family and friends about where you're going. If you are in a car when the hurricane breaks, stop your car far away from trees or electric cables which could fall on you. Avoid stopping at the bottom of a steep hill or on low ground susceptible to flooding. Stay in your car. In order to minimize the consequences of a hurricane, regularly prune dead branches from trees and cut down any dead trees. If you live in a house, check your roof regularly to ensure it is solid and waterproof. Repair it if necessary.
Create a plan for your home, and don't forget about those who may need assistance during an emergency.
Welcome back to Hurricane Watch. Just to remind you, St. Lucia remains under a hurricane warning. We know why by now. Major Hurricane Beryl is hurtling towards the Windward Islands. Okay, this storm is packing 130 mile an hour sustained winds. It can dump up to 6 inches of rains in certain areas and will bring life-threatening storm surge. Just before the break, we spoke with a meteorologist, Vigil Saltibus. She explained the brunt of Hurricane Beryl will likely be felt between St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada, but that does not mean St. Lucia is out of the woods, because we will experience hurricane conditions as early as 2 a.m. in the next couple of hours. These hurricane conditions will include tropical storm force winds. Tropical storm force winds pack 73 mile an hour sustained winds. That is still significant, still concerning, and still potentially dangerous. Rainfall is forecast to be anywhere between 3 and 6 inches in certain areas. So areas prone to flooding and flash floodings, you would want to be extremely vigilant as this storm moves over the Windward Islands. The country remains under a national shutdown. This has been the case since 8:30 p.m. June 30th, a few hours ago. Only essential personnel are authorized to be outdoors right now. That means you should be watching this broadcast in the comfort of your home or somewhere indoors, somewhere safe. You shouldn't be outdoors. And enforcing this national shutdown would be members of the protective services, specifically the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, and which is where I would like to segue and bring in my guests. The Commissioner of Police, Mrs. Crucita Descat-Pelliu, she's joining us tonight during Hurricane Watch to talk about how the police force is preparing and how they are going to sort of respond as needed to the emerging hazards. Crucita Descat-Pelliu, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Yan.
You're doing the long hours, burning the midnight oil together with the rest of the team here tonight.
Of course, my men are out and I'm also out.
You're out,
Men
okay.
and women.
National shutdown, what kind of consultation happened to come to that decision?
Okay, so the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is not only responsible for law enforcement, but we are also responsible for saving life and property. So now in national emergency, we need to be sure that people are safe, of course, and their property as well, but more so the lives of people. So we are concerned about people being safe.
People being safe.
Yes.
Safety is paramount.
Safety is paramount, yes.
And I would imagine it may be a delicate balance because, yes, civilians are supposed to be indoors right now. What happens if there is an emergency during this shutdown? Are the police going to respond as normal?
Of course, if there is an emergency, we are supposed to respond. But remember, we are also concerned about the lives of our officers. If it is safe to do so, you understand?
Okay.
Because in the time of hurricane, the lives of officers, likewise, the members of the public, is paramount. And it doesn't mean that if there's an emergency, we can respond. We must respond. If we can respond, we will respond. Because of course, if you're expecting high winds, you need not to send your men out there to jeopardize their lives. We are supposed to respond if we can at the time.
All right, and earlier on yesterday, June 30th, is when we noticed a missive going out canceling vacation leave. Is that customary, and what does that mean?
Of course, it's customary because in time of emergency, you need to make sure that the police stations, the officers are at the station. You are not sure what can happen afterwards. If it will be possible to transport your officers to and from their homes. So you must cancel leave to make sure there are adequate men on duty so that we can go out there to do what we are supposed to do. Law enforcement and, of course, saving lives if there is a need to. Yes.
And I mean, certainly police officers over the course of their careers, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force would facilitate numerous training activities, not just in law enforcement, but do police officers also engage or participate in life-saving training programs?
Of course, we are first responders as well. So we give the officers all the necessary training to enhance their skill sets to execute their duties professionally and efficiently.
Okay.
Yes. And of course, we work alongside other agencies. As you rightly said, right now we are not the only ones out here. There are other agencies like the fire service, which we work alongside. And we work together, and of course, sometimes we do similar training if it is necessary.
Okay. Conditions of your police stations, did you do your assessments? You made your rounds, I would imagine, or you gotten your feedback from your various zonal officers? What are they saying in terms of the conditions of some of the...
Of course, I mean, it is not a one-time thing. We are always preparing for, especially this time of year. The hurricane season begins in June. So normally before June, we take all the precautionary measures. Of course, for today, before coming here, I went through some stations. I went to CID, I went to the command center because of course the officers are up all night long. I went to Central Police Station, so I went to my stations to make sure. But of course, each division, there is a divisional head, and we coordinated very well. And we have division, Northern Division, Southern Division, Central Division, and we have the operational team. So each divisional head would have done what is necessary and would coordinate.
Very well.
Of course.
And, some officers, we understand, went over to Barbados to assist with ICC World Cup, that final. And information is that they are going to remain there to assist with RSS.
Yes, of course, when security chiefs met on a regional level, we took the decision to assist all the islands as it relates to Cricket World Cup and other activities they had during this last month. The officers left prior to we knowing that there would have been an emergency. it would be unfair to ask them to return and the activity they went to partake in did not really take place yet. Having done that, of course, we allow them to stay, but that doesn't mean that they will stay for the longest while. They will be back to St.
It speaks to the testament of their dedication, their commitment.
And they were already there, and our sister island had a similar situation, and they are assisting.
And no doubt they will make a valuable contribution to supporting the emergency programs and operations over there in Barbados.
It's important that we encourage our officers to assist our sister islands. Normally, we would not have sent them away if we are during the time of emergency, but the mere fact that they were already there, and it's also enhancing their training as well. It's training for them as a regional experience, and it builds the camaraderie of the officers with other officers in the region, which is quite good.
Commissioner, as things stand, it's nearly 1 a.m. We're expecting, perhaps according to Vigil Saltibus, the meteorologist here, we're expecting the first wave to affect us next hour, 2 a.m. and thereafter. But as things stand from an operational standpoint, is the police force ready to respond if needed, if necessary?
We are ready to respond. We have done all our checks. We have started since yesterday, and as I said, normally during this time of year, we would have made some preparations. So we are ready to execute our duties to the best of our ability.
And also,
I want to encourage my officers and thank them for being out there. Of course, it's their responsibility, it's their job, but encourage them to do their best.
And I think it's also important to note that even after the worst of the storm moves away from St. Lucia, that is not necessarily a reason or an excuse for civilians to venture out. What will the police, in conjunction with the other protective services, the other officials here at NEMAC, do when the worst of the storm moves away from St. Lucia, moves away from our region?
We'll encourage, it depends. If it is we are in a bad state, we'll encourage people to stay out, to stay away, to stay home, indoors, stay indoors. And of course, we'll continue, as you've already said, and we are aware it's not a state of emergency. So people are aware of that as well. We want to remind them also. But of course, we need to tell them that they need to be safe. So we'll encourage them to stay home and allow us, along with the other protective agencies, to do what's best for them and for the country.
Yeah, because they would have to do...
there would have been some cleaning up to do, so...
They will need to do some assessment, make sure.
And of course, to encourage them not to stay in harm's way. So we'll encourage them to stay home.
So we're happy to hear the police force ready and able, more than able to respond to emergencies as they arise. For now, things are still calm. This is Hurricane Watch, where we are bringing you some of the latest happenings at the NEMO Secretariat, where the NEMAC just met. The NEOC has been activated, as you may be aware, as we brace for the impending passage, the imminent passage of Major Hurricane Beryl. I'd like to thank you, Commissioner, for speaking with us tonight. We may hear from you later on as the evening, the night, the morning progresses. Things are just getting started. So thank you again, Madam Commissioner.
Hoping for the best.
But Madam Commissioner, yes, hope for the best. Yes. We're all hoping for the best. This was
prepare for what's coming.
This segment, this interview, my interview with you, is the English segment. Of course, we cater to the bilingual Creole speaking population. So after this break, Commissioner will stay on with my co-host Gaspar, who will have the conversation in Creole for our Creole speaking population. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Merci un peu pour rester puis nous. Sainte-Lucie, nous avons sur station télévision NTN. Et puis nous ici à garder, bien vu, ça a passé. Et puis cyclone à Beryl qui Sainte-Lucie, vous savez, a dans une situation côté nous avons préparé pour cyclone ça là qui a fait un cher dommage. Nous avons parlé avec plusieurs autres monde australiens, nous avons parlé puis Monsieur Lake qui directeur NIOC, ça c'est une organisation NIMAC comité. Nous aussi parlé puis directeur NIMO, nous parlé puis plusieurs autres monde nous allé à nous rien parler et puis madame là qui est responsable pour garder pour conditions temps, ça c'est madame Vigile Soltibus. Et quand deux avant nous tes points pause là, il parlait et puis il dit qu'à parler et puis comme ça c'est chef police Sainte-Lucie, madame Cruciter Descat Pelius avec qui va nous chercher information mais comme la côté comme ces gens mopo vous savez il y a parlé que la fine alors nous bien contents pour nous ni ici pour expliquer ces gens que là Jean Sainte-Lucie qui a coûté programme ça là à présent pour dire nous exactement qui ça a passé premier ça me dit c'est bienvenue pas aujourd'hui pour parler puis nous en créole.
Merci bien, M. Gasper.
Ok, so comme chef police, ça c'est en situation où sa police bien engagée en dedans pour préparer la nation, pour garder, pour voir qui tout bagaille important. Dis-nous peut-être force important, travail ça là important en temps de désastre.
Of course, comme ça dit avant, travail police c'est en famille, en chaque responsabilité. La police, ce n'est pas seulement pour arrêter les gens et faire conduire la loi. Mais la police, toujours, quand travaille nous responsables pour assurer la vie des gens saine et sauve. Et puis, of course, bagaille aussi, caillou, machine, tout ça, propriétaire. Ce n'est pas juste la vie des gens, mais propriétaire saine et sauve.
Ok, so police, c'est qu'on dit, pas seulement pour la vie, mais propriétaire
aussi.
Et protéger ces gens-là.
Protéger eux.
Ok, mais en temps de désastre, qui rôle?
Oui, en temps de désastre, nous pour faire assurer que c'est mon sénéchal, mon rester en caillou, mon la vie mon en ordre. Le sénéchal. So nous comme police fait assurer que nous avons assez de police en toute station police pour faire le travail là aussi supposé faire. So pour faire ça possible, nous avons dit toute police qui la caillou tout livre cancel. So pas ça rester la caillou comme d'habitude. Venir dehors pour faire le travail, pas ni place vacances, pas ni pièce week-end. Venir pour faire travail. Mais pour faire ça possible, nous avons fait assurer, nous avons tout bagage en ordre, tout bagage en place. Là, nous manger, générateur nous avons bon, nous avons de l'eau, nous avons assez côté pour ça rester, et toute voiture nous, gaz, tout bagage bon pour nous ça faire travail là plus facile. Pour police et puis pour nous aller dehors pour nous faire ça nous supposé faire pas pour nous aussi mais pour chef d'IFE parce que je travaille puis nous et travailler c'est pour mettre barrière en ordre aussi.
Oui, puisque en temps de désastre, chaque monde qui prend l'occasion pour aller faire magie, aller faire crime, aller faire 10, ça nous a fait looting, mais ce qui est important, c'est supposé pour qu'on nous dise, chaîne toute bagarre en ordre.
La police a fait ça, si on a tout le monde a caillou, ça a cassé, volé, bagaille, la police a pour faire ça, on supposé faire, mais en même temps, nous pouvons accorder la vie de nous aussi. Ce n'est pas juste pour nous arrêter les gens qui ont fait voler, faire des qui pas bon, mais aussi pour nous make sure que la vie de nous en ordre. Nous, ça va être safe.
Oui, c'est sauve.
Sauve, oui, sauve.
Ok. Bon, police. En travail comme ça. C'est un bagage qui est difficile, puisque moi, quand je dis en chaque police, il y a famille aussi.
Oui, mais c'est.
Qui manière ça affecte yo peut-être mais qui manière ça fait ça moi-même ni famille pour protéger.
Well, ça c'est job là, l'on pour un job, on peut garder toute facette pour si c'est qui ça job là qu'a dit. So nous ça va difficile because de les uniformes aussi, but nous quand encourager ces police là pour make sure pour faire assurer that caillou et famille en ordre avant de venir sauver nation, because si police savent maman yo ici pas en ordre, ils pas ça faire travail en manière nous faire là because l'idée pas en repos. Because yo la ka sauver nation, but peut-être maman yo malade ou ben caillou fenêtre ka déranger, caillou en le capin de l'eau, choses comme ça, so nous pour assurer. So you can faire caillou et famille sauve avant, you can encourage et puis you have fait traitement. C'est pour ça a fait traitement pour you savent ça pour you faire avant you venir travailler. Ça c'est une responsabilité nous pour bailler traitement you besoin, you training, right, c'est pour ça aussi because ce qu'a fait police first responder pour ça c'est pour mettre caillou en ordre avant quitter caillou, secure caillou avant venir travailler.
Ok, bon, on dit toute station police bien préparée?
Toute station police, avant de venir ici, là, moi aller dans 3 stations pour assurer, parce qu'on est pour bailler ces police-là encouragement. Ils doivent aussi, moi dois aussi. Nous venons garder pour faire ça, mais nous naturel pour eux. Nous voulons savoir en repos, nous voulons savoir de manger, même si moi ça, nous avons tout en place, nous sommes administratif officer. Moun qui a ménagé l'argent, il a fait assurément l'année de l'eau, l'année manger pour toutes ces stations. Et puis, on a une division sud, on a une division nord, on a une division centrale, et puis on a un député chef qui est responsable pour l'opération. So, ces gens-là, en vaillant à dehors, les nouvelles, dans tout cas, il y a un mauvais temps, nous faisons chaque discussion, nous faisons chaque meeting pour faire assurer. Tout le monde sait ça, il y a pour faire travail là bien facile et puis pour mettre le pays de manière nous supposons mettre là. So nous avons discussion et nous make sure tout bagaille en place.
Et vous satisfait?
Oui, moi satisfait. Mais pas juste quitter au dimanche, mais aller faire dire moi tout pour moi. Moi aller garder pour comment vous ouais.
Pour bien tout.
So moi station bon, moi c'est mon moi savais c'est un travail pour rester toute la nuit, c'est pas un nerf pour police, mais le moment où pour bonne heure 7h30, 8h, 6h30, you gardez satisfait, you need manger, you need l'eau, you need generator, you gardez satisfait. Et puis c'est chef là c'est supervisor qui est là pour bailler si pour avoir besoin. So ça c'est un bon bagage.
Bon asso ça autant madame l'a dit, ça c'est madame Vigil, il dit nous avons joué plus mauvais temps, peut-être bon matin, peut-être dans l'autre net temps comme ça, il a commencé, nous avons commencé à sentir. Est-ce que même quand il y a une qualité ou après ça là, c'est police là qui a dit qui ça il va sentir au pays, on va gagner c'est après ça.
Non, oui, of course, parce qu'il m'a pas, mais la pas connu de chez bail qu'a fait, il y a rien qui l'a pris en cash central et puis tout à place à payer. C'est important pour faire ça qu'a fait. En même temps, ça dit office la communauté entièrement, ça qu'a fait sur tout pays comme ça. C'est pour ça nous là tout ensemble, chaque département, comme fait, comme police, ni pour une discussion et puis mamio qui en différenciation. Parce que nous savons ça qu'a fait dans un pays. So moi assise comme ça, moi ça dit ça qu'a fait pour pays à ça.
Qu'a mettre en repos.
Oui.
Ça dormi bien.
Mais pas dormir c'est Gaspard, pas dormir, parce que je dormir là.
D'accord. Bon, dernièrement, moi ça peut-être vous voulez quitter en commission Jean pays puisque ou c'est chef police, il va écouter ou quelle commission va vous en temps ça là.
Moi il y a chaque commission pour Saint-Lucie. Parce que me pas ça comprendre. On a un bel pays comme Saint-Lucie et mon travail tellement ouais pour faire pays nous number 1 et quand tant comme ça les gens supposé éduquer et moun supposé ouais en différemment parce que moun ka ouais bagay face mon en TV, mon technologie pour moun ka fait prime comme ça pays prime comment c'est une maladie il a fait tellement la peine pour moi quartier crime là mon ka fait vaiti va accorder là des monde pas fait pièce significance l'aile ou sont pays qui éduqué et qui ni la sagesse on pour respecter la vie et pas après la vie mon vaiti va comme c'est poule pas même poule les monde ni bête yo car yo veut mon respecter au pays moi quand dit ici ça fait crime ça là nous pour deux bouts à nous faire réfléchir à nous faire une différence à nous deux bouts ça et c'est pour catcher de l'année passée nous tenions des choses comme 70 échecs homicide bon si chaque monde ni 3000 monde yo prêt pour ou ça paye la peine parce que si 62 monde ni 3000 moun qui en famille yo qui gens yo qui ish yo because moun ni ti ish moun ni famille moun yo à l'école et puis moun yo à l'église choses comme ça moun ni football ka jouer yo ni sport so si 62 moun ni 3000 moun qui pour yo nous n'y un pays qui a la peine nous pas ça continuer comme ça nous pas ça continuer car just tuer moun vai ti vai ça pas la manière pour nous vivre nous c'est un pays qui l'amitié un pays qui concerné après l'un à l'autre et nous avons crié quand nous chrétiens si c'est chrétien enceinte ici c'est quand tu travailles ça là c'est quand tu bagages ça c'est pas toi c'est pas manière chrétien supposé rester monde supposé vivre en l'amitié si on fait un bagage avant fig ou quand pour balle commencer à shoot monde va quand en balle c'est un peine en balle ça pas bon qui on fait un bagage ou ça y a un petit coin en tchao pour dire mon pour faire réfléchir passer au quoi on fait un bagage c'est pour juste tuer pour ça faire assassiner ça ou ça y a une manière pour ça discuter parler telle manière telle façon qui manière ça manger ça n'importe quel simple bagage c'est mon juste gado ou à quoi c'est pour aller en balle pour tuer mon ça pas la manière pour mon vivre moi veux cette lycée faut réfléchir faut un catch jeune compétit bah là qui ça bah là qui pli m'a dit c'est mauvais mais en mal cher et c'est jeune monde qui a détruit jeune monde et puis nous toujours tant c'est jeune monde qui futur c'est jeune monde qui a préparé en notre stage c'est jeune monde qui a fait devant the children are the future. En tant qu'avenir, en tant devant. Mais si jeune monde qui a détruit jeune monde, pas finir violence ça quand ici. Et ça qui sont chaque considération pour d'autres, pas pour moi comme police, c'est ici, mais pour toute police expressement en région. Bagay ça là c'est on qu'a fait nous la peine. Et là nous toute l'année pour nous discuter. C'est toujours pareil là nous qu'à mettre devant pour nous discuter. So il a affecté pas only Saint-Lucie mais il a affecté tout l'autre pays en Caraïbes là. Ça pas pour dire ni on chaille con nous. Et c'est ça qui est mauvais. Nous on chaille plus passer yo. On nous faire manière pour nous travailler ensemble pour nous double ça, pour nous faire réfléchir, pour nous faire un différent. Nous pas supposé faire sans couler en pays comme ça. Ça pas la manière et c'est pas ça bon Dieu veut nous faire c'est pour nous double ça et double à présent bagay ça ni pour double en Saint-Lucie so nous quand des jeunes compétit jeunes hommes jeunes femmes double ça faire une manière pour ça faire un bagay qui plus bon pour pays il y a un sport ou ça jeune en groupe ou ça y a un bagay pour faire non tellement de ou tennis scout ou tennis guide des brownie c'est bagay ça qu'a font privé passer assise là oui faire manière bagay qui pas important bagay qui pas bon pour pays on vraiment véritablement mener cette liste devant point balle ça qu'a tuer mon pas tout de pas qu'à mener cette liste devant so m'a plaider by ces jeunes mona jeunes compétit avec maman point position en famille papa point position en famille fait en différence avec femme pour lever maman en une manière qui fait nous proud dans cette ici avec jeune monde. Merci bien.
Nous espérer qui Vent Beryl. Beryl qui a voltigé ça?
Ah oui. Mais si.
Vent ça là, si voltige, ou pas envie, ouais. Vent voltigé, tout ça comme ça là.
Là, véritablement, je ne pas qu'il voulait go vent qui fort avec Beryl. Mais si, moi savent that vent Beryl, de qu'il point ça en manière pour finir ça, mais qui fait ça fait. Mais nous pour travailler ensemble, et en l'autre bagaille tout, Mr. Gaspard, on cherche mon cas quoi, c'est because police qui a payé pour faire law enforcement ça, veut dire pour faire bagaille primaire avec tout le monde tel quelque chose comme ça. Ça c'est vraiment pas travail police pour faire payer primaire. Mais nous tous nous pour travailler ensemble, police, fire, nurse, docteur, teacher, tout le monde, nous pour travailler farmers, tout le monde nous pour travailler ensemble pour faire Saint-Lucie en plus meilleure place. Bagaille mauvais et nous pas supposé rester comme ça en pays. Là nous créer comme une nation qui nous go l'école. Si nous éduquer, nous pour changer ça.
Merci un peu.
Pour ça, le bagage la Gaspard. Laissez-moi faire ces bagages là. Vous pouvez courir l'autre pays pour aller échapper quoi. Mais si l'autre pays fait pas mauvais, comment pas échapper quoi? Faire pays ça ne sauve. D'accord. Faire pays ça ne sauve. Merci.
Restez là. Merci un peu. Moi Annick voulait dire merci un peu pour prendre du temps pour discuter et puis Jean Saint-Lucie avec pas seulement préparation police pour hurricane et cyclone mais pour parler à cette situation comme ça.
Oui, avec notre deuxième de ces polices là, continuer à faire travail, faire bien en toute manière de façon. Faire travail bien, professionnellement, faire travail bien. Et merci pour toujours là, nous poser pour le travail.
D'accord. Eh bien, ça, nous tenons notre commissionnaire et chef police ici, Madame Cressida Descartes-Pellius, avec nous, comme nous avons présenté, des informations, qui nous accompagnent à cette situation épicyclone Beryl. Restez puis nous n'avons plus d'informations pour vous. Moi, un monsieur qui a représenté ces services diffés, nous avons joué plus, puisque c'est mon salani en gros responsabilité aussi. Ces gens services diffés, ambulance, ils ont toute go responsabilité en tant que ça. Alors, nous avons dit, restez puis nous avons pris un petit pause avec l'un de vieux, rien qui a parlé.
On se bat aussi, M. Gaspard, c'est moi ça dire pareil. Moi, je peux dire merci en chai pour le gouvernement, expressement, Prime Minister qui est ministère pour National Security. Il a fait tout ça, pour nous ça nous besoin pour faire travail là plus facilement. Mais je peux dire merci en chai. Ça ne veut pas dire qu'il y a assez, je voudrais plier, mais je dis merci.
Je suis content de dire en créole. Merci un peu. Ok, nous allons rester à un petit moment, nous allons dévier.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Hurricane watch with me, Rehani Isidore. I'm joined, of course, with my co-host, Gasper. Thank you, Gasper Henry. No, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. That's the reporter in me.
Michael Gasper.
Michael Gasper, excuse me. So yes, hurricane watch, but of course St. Lucia is under a hurricane warning. All right, as we anticipate and brace, hunker down, prepare for Hurricane Beryl. It's a major hurricane. It's a Category 4. As we speak, it's been stubbornly at Category 4 strength for the last several hours, for most of yesterday. Yesterday was July 30th. You know, it's about 20 past 1 in the morning on July the 1st, and it's still Category 4 strength. No signs of letting up gas, but Michael. Tonight, during this broadcast, you would have listened to updates from the Prime Minister. We spoke with experts here at the NEMO, comprising meteorologists. We spoke to the Commissioner of Police. We spoke to officials responsible or in charge of the local disaster shelters here. And from all indications, Michael, everything seems to be ready. Everything seems to be in tip-top.
Yes, il capable comme que si l'on ces paroles nous retient qu'on dit et puis tous ces différents officiels là yo some tout bagaille pareil et puis mais ça qui était plus intéressant pour moi c'était ces paroles Wuchen et puis madame Vigil Saltibus qui baille un bon détail sur la situation cyclone exactement quoi et qui manière qui a affecté nous, qui degré vent qui a affecté nous et tout bagaille comme ça avec m'avait dit l'année rien pour nous dire nous bagaille bon mais ça qui est important c'est pour Jean Saint-Lucie continuer préparer quoi yo tient créer vigilance pour assurer que si un cas il faut appeler nous bon.
Yeah, but vigilance is important. Preparations would have had to have happened well before the shutdown took effect 8:30 last night. So now it's all about the vigilance, the cautions, and making sure that you're ready to activate your emergency plans if needs arise. Going back to some of the observations from Ms. Saltibus, the meteorologist, she indicated that according to the latest tracking models, St. Lucia can expect to experience tropical storm force conditions. Not because it's tropical doesn't mean it's not serious.
True.
Sustained winds associated with tropical storms can reach up to 73 miles an hour. Now, sustained winds mean that it's going to consistently blow at 73 miles an hour. That is going to pose a significant threat to property, fragile properties, wooden structures, aged structures, deteriorating structures. Those are going to be under some pressure once those tropical storm force winds start moving in. The rainfall, Ms. Saltibus also indicated that up to 6 inches in certain areas. And we all know some of those areas, those low-lying areas, the Denry Village, some parts of ancillary canneries. Bexar is a famous area known for flooding, and parts of ancillary canneries as well. So if you reside in any of those areas, you know what to expect where heavy rainfall is concerned. But considering that this is a Category 4 system, weather is so unpredictable, we want you by now to be at heightened alert, at a heightened state of readiness, right, Michael? Because things can evolve rapidly.
Et quand nous toujours dit, même si vous pouvez en chay la pluie peut-être pour moment côté où pas quoi il paraît venir avec il y a chaque monde qui a quoi puisque il faut en chay la pluie il faut qu'attendre vent fort il y a des vents qui souffler. You know what that is?
What's that?
The whistling sound.
Yes.
The whistling sound of the wind. So si il faut qu'attendre ça il a dit c'est magie bêtise il a dit mais nous avertir c'est ça sérieux c'est mon qui a fait étude c'est mon qui connaît plus passer nous qu'a averti nous qu'a averti pays pour prendre en charge precaution.
And we have to commend the population who have so far cooperated with the shutdown and are adhering to, they're following the progress of this Hurricane Beryl, and so far everything seems to be under control from the perspective of the Commissioner of Police, who made her rounds earlier today, and even coming out of the NEMAC meeting, all systems are ready to respond. Everyone is cooperating. Everyone is following. Enough people are following the advisories. People are paying attention. Some of you are up here with us right now, which is testament to how serious we're taking this as a country. So. Some time left to go. It is 1:22 in the morning. The worst, I hate to use that word, but the worst is yet to come, because as indicated earlier, Beryl, the effects, tropical storm conditions is going to start happening around the 2 a.m. time. The peak of Beryl, according to the meteorologist, is something that can happen somewhere around the 8-9 o'clock hour this morning.
Later this morning.
Later today, later this morning. And the Prime Minister indicated on June 29th, Saturday evening, that St. Lucia would, of course, go into a shutdown. Yesterday, June 30th, from 8:30, and that shutdown is going to be effective until the all clear is given. So now we know that the peak of the storm will be this morning around the 8 o'clock hour. Casper, it's important for people to stay indoors and wait for that all clear.
Yeah, oui, all clear. Ça veut dire les nimo dit tout bagay en ordre, tout bagay moun sa viwe en travail. Tout temps pas tant annoncement ça là est important pour rester la caillou. Nous toujours ça. Moi-même ça arrive moi parce que pour en 1980, ça c'est 1980 oui, l'enteni I'm exposing my age. L'enteni Hurricane Allen avec tellement ça était mauvais tellement là demain tout le monde voulait aider qui dommage qui fait tout le monde mais nous averti qui est dangereux puisqu'il y a deux petits dangereux dès l'année ligne poteau qui tombait poteau électrique qui tombait avec une courant toujours avec like they say active lines so il bon pour il pas bon pour rester et bien aller sortir dehors aller garder dommage qui fait il dangereux.
Precise reasons why you should wait for the all clear because hazards still exist. Not just the flooding and the fallen trees, but the power lines, the poles, these can still be live, and you can still find yourself encounter some situation, some problems if you venture out before the all clear is given. That is why in the aftermath of a severe weather event like a storm like Hurricane Beryl, what will likely happen is, teams will start to go out into the various affected areas, do some surveillance, assess the safety of some of these affected areas, mobilize the machinery to clear pathways, to clear roads if needed, and once that is done, then a determination will be made to either issue the all clear or further guidance will come out from the NEMO. Tonight we spoke to the Commissioner of the Police, who indicated earlier that as far as the police are concerned, they're ready. Vacation leave cancelled, so maybe if you were lucky and you were overseas, it wouldn't apply to you, but everyone else had to report for duty today. That's a routine process. It's standard because St. Lucia, we need to be at the ready.
That's right. Quand on dit même all clear ça là avec sauveté, which is safety, c'est raison qui fait nous pour parler et puis c'est mon puis principalement responsable pour sauveté pays, c'est gens service différents. So à d'un petit moment moi quand nous parler nos paroles et puis pour dire nous plus à so qui démarche qu'on prend pour faire si gens pays à rester sauve. D'accord?
That has to be clear. And at this juncture, we will take a break, bring you some important messages, and on the other side of that break, we'll be talking to an official from the St. Lucia Fire Service. We'll get their perspective on what's in place to deal with Hurricane Beryl. Stay tuned.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.
Welcome back to Hurricane Watch, where we're keeping our eyes on Hurricane Beryl. St. Lucia is under a hurricane warning. We have to remind you, we are not out of the clear as yet. Hurricane Beryl is still tracking westerly, approaching the Windward Islands, and will affect the region, more specifically St. Lucia, in the coming hours. Tropical storm force winds are likely 73 mile an hour, sustained winds up to 6 inches of rainfall in certain areas. And of course, there's some storm surge associated with the passage of a tropical storm, or actually Hurricane Beryl. I wish it was a tropical storm. And tonight, our final interview will be with Mr. Anwar D. Turbil. He's the acting divisional officer at the St. Lucia Fire Service. The fire service play a crucial role, an important role in pre- and post-disaster as it relates to hazards, storms, hurricanes, etc. Anwar, I'd like to bring you in now. You're part of the NEMAC team, the NEOC team. Give us an update. What's the status of the St. Lucia Fire Service, and what roles are you playing here in the grand scheme of things?
Right. Good evening.
Good morning.
Actually, good morning. It's been a very long, night. Yeah. The St. Lucia Fire Service, as you're aware, is the primary agency responsible for both medical stabilization, medical transport, fire rescue. Currently, at each of our stations, we do have requisite manpower. The Chief Fire Officer had a meeting earlier today to brief on reiterating our strategy for dealing with Hurricane Beryl. So we've augmented our manpower at each of the stations. One of the other things that we've done is, you may be aware, a few weeks ago we finished a swift water rescue training.
I was just coming down to that. Swift water training, how timely is or was that training exercise, given Beryl poses this water threat? We can expect some flash flooding, so
correct.
How useful that training will be now, if needs be.
Correct. So that training augmented previous trainings that we have done, and what we've done as part of our strategy, we've implemented swift water teams at strategic points around the island. So there are 2-man teams at almost every station with requisite equipment, just in case that we do have a situation and the guys need to come into action. So the timing was perfect. It's unfortunate that we may have to put it to test, and to put in practice, but the teams are available, the teams are ready.
I gotta say, being a fire officer, you learn critical life-saving skills that you hope you never have to use, right?
Yes.
It's one of the trainings you never want to apply in real life, but life is not perfect.
Correct.
And we live in the tropics where hurricanes are the order of the day.
Correct.
Augmenting staff. The police force usually cancels vacation leave. Does the fire service adopt a similar model?
Yes and no. It depends. In this situation for Beryl, we were more strategic in canceling some leave, not all leave. And you would take into consideration, because the fire service works a 24-hour shift now, you do not want to overburden and burn out staff that would have to work another 24 hours. So we utilize administrative staff, fire prevention staff, and some of those officers who had done the swift water training actually volunteered to come in to the station. So we adequately staffed. We adequately staffed at all the stations to ensure that if we do need to make a response, that we have the resources to make the response.
What if there's a fire Beryl hasn't approached us just yet, but there's a fire or there's some other related emergency that requires an emergency response. What happens then?
The fire service will respond.
Will respond?
Yes. The only thing that we need to take into consideration, the firefighters are humans themselves. Personal safety is critical. So a judgment call would be made with regards to the level of safety of the officers, but the officers would make a response as normal and deal with the situation as they come up.
So the general public can rest assured, should any emergency arise, every effort to address it.
Yes, as we speak, for the past few hours that I've been here, the guys have been responding to critical emergencies. So the fire service hasn't closed. We're available. We are asking the public, please do not venture out. We currently have, the country is closed. There's not a curfew, but the country is closed. Do not put yourself at risk. The fire officers have left their homes, they've left their family behind to put themselves in a situation that they can respond. We do not want unnecessary burdens at the moment.
That leads me to my next question, Anwar. Post-disaster, Hurricane Beryl moves away from us. Maybe there's some, let's not anticipate what kind of damage that could happen, but what would you like to see in terms of cooperation with the public in the immediate aftermath of Beryl?
As NEMO has continually reiterated, one, we need to wait for official information from authentic sources, and two, we need to wait to get the all clear from NEMO before anyone ventures out. I know as St. Lucians, we want to do sightseeing, we want to check on everyone to make sure everything's fine. Sometimes we just want to go for a lime, but
in the aftermath of a hurricane.
Yes, but we're putting ourselves at risk.
Because it's dangerous doing that.
It's dangerous. There are down-powered lines, there are other hazards that may come about, and you may think that you're going on a joyride, but you may put yourself in a situation where you need to be rescued yourself. So we're asking everyone to remain and wait for the all clear. The assessors will go out to verify if everything is okay, report back to NEMO, and then if everything's okay, the all clear, and then you can go about your business.
Earlier you said that the fire service responded to some critical emergencies just over the course of the last several hours. Hospitals have activated their emergency mode, so to speak. What kind of coordination is that that happens between the fire service, the EMTs, and hospitals when they're in emergency mode?
Okay, so currently we have a representative from the Ministry of Health at NEMO, but generally the Ministry of Health and the fire service do have a good rapport and communication. As it stands, any situation that needs any form of intervention, because there are representatives at NEMO, that dialogue happens, right, and everything is taken care of. We've not had any issues, major issues rather, and the Ministry of Health has been assisting with our responses.
And as it stands, while we anticipate the passage of Hurricane Beryl, fire service ready to go. Good to go. All right. So this will probably be our final interview before we wrap up the broadcast. I want to thank you, Mr. DeTurbo, for giving us some of your time to update us on the state of readiness of the fire service. I want to thank you all for staying with the broadcast these past hours. Before I close, I'd like to, of course, thank my co-hosts, Kendall, Scadi, Eugene, who opened the broadcast earlier this evening, Michael Gasper, Creole translations, impeccable. Thank you, Michael. I know the Creole speaking population will appreciate your language, your communication. And to everyone else here at the NEMO Secretariat, away from our families, away from more comfortable beds, but it's a call to service, and we are here to ensure that you, the general public, are updated with the latest information. So we will return, this broadcast will resume later today, July 1st. We're aiming for a 7 a.m. start time. Same channel, NTN, channel 122, on Flow. Participating media stations and radio stations may choose to relay this particular broadcast. Get involved, stay tuned as best as you can. And any final words? I'm just trying to find out if there's final words from my producers. Okay. So all the teams at GIS said, well, of course, we cannot forget the people behind the cameras making it happen. They play a critical role. One more time, this is Hurricane Watch. We're still under hurricane warning. We're at Hurricane Beryl is a category 4. National shutdown in effect until further notice. That means you do not leave your home until you get the official all clear from the relevant authorities. Thank you everyone once again for staying with us tonight. We will see you again in a few hours at 7 a.m. right here on NTN. This is Hurricane Watch. My name is Rehani Isidore. Good morning.
We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable. We need to be together and support each other.
Stay safe. May God bless us. May God protect all of us.
We must pay special attention to our elderly, our sick, and our bedridden.
In times like this, let us show concern for each other and be each other's keeper.
It is at this time that our compassion, generosity, and love as a people must be extended to one another, particularly to the vulnerable.